Okay. All right. All right, we're live. Hey everybody. Hope you're having a good afternoon. Hoping everything is going good in your life. Um, I got my girl here, finished the race VL, and she's got some interesting topics to talk about. She's um, one of the kind of people that's going to move to Africa from here, from the U.S. So I'm gonna let her tell a little bit about that story, but also she has some information where we wanted to discuss the polygamy situation as it relates to Black people. So I'm gonna let her go ahead and discuss that situation. So whatever it is you wanted to talk about the polygamy, let's have it, or let's ask the question.
Well, it's okay. Is there an echo?
Is there?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't hear
Okay.
echo on my side.
Well, because I'm making my transition to move to the continent of Africa, and I've been exposed to other YouTubers who have taken that same journey as well. And there are a few YouTubers that have that believe that polygamy or a polyamorous relationship is one of the cultural things that Black people should be a part of because our ancestors did that ages ago. And I was watching one of the YouTubers channel by the name of Phoenix Wild, who is a female who strongly agrees with polygamy because she said um, that an alpha male is designed, genetically designed in his DNA to be with multiple women. He is not designed to be in a monogamous relationship, and that he should have multiple wives, right? So this is a new conversation for me because I've never lived in that type of lifestyle culturally because I was born and raised here in America, and she was also born and raised in America too. And I understand that people have different backgrounds and upbringings and different beliefs and understanding on what would be the best thing for them. So as she did this video, I was reading through the comments, and probably 90% of the people did not agree with her, and 10% did. And so I wanted to kind of piggyback on that, and I did a reaction video to her video to hear the thoughts of other people on this topic. Do they agree with this? Do they believe that this can actually work in the Black family? I have a father who's Nigerian that actually grew up in a polygamous household. He personally told me that he didn't like it because he saw the division that happens in a polygamous marriage. You know, having multiple wives. Some wives were more favored than the others. Some were neglected. Children were neglected. You know, anger and bitterness was within his siblings. You know, even up into adulthood, he had siblings that despised him because he felt his other siblings felt like that he was more favored, and was treated better. So, and you have all this going on in this polygamous relationship. I'm like, okay, I'm not against anybody who wants to be in that type of relationship. If you're going to be teaching an audience of women, okay, and she was targeting African American women, right? Saying that we're already in we're she has stated her claim as there's not enough Black men in the US for all the Black women here to have a husband, right? She said they're either in jail, they're either gay, or they're being killed, and so therefore we have to come to a place to understand that we may have to start sharing the few good Black men that are out there. And she gave an example. If you have a close girlfriend that you're cool with and you both are single, why not find that one good man and we share him and build our family dynamic on that? And a lot of women in the comments were like, I'm not sharing my this is not going to happen. And so for me, I'm like, okay, if you're going to teach an audience of Black African American women to adopt this new culture, let's first see the example of it. If it actually can work, can a polygamous marriage be healthy? Can
Sell the
we,
benefits.
huh?
Sell the benefits.
Sell the benefits. And on her channel, she doesn't show the benefits of that. Her herself is not even in a, now she says she's all for it, but she's not in a polygamous marriage. So I'm like, okay, how can you convince me to do something that you have not shown as an example that this actually can work? If you're going to teach and preach that, then show by example, practice what you preach. And so she cut the comments off in her video, because a lot of people was like, actually it was a healthy conversation that people were having, and no one was kind of being rude towards her, because it's a choice. I believe it's a choice. If either you want to be in a monogamous relationship or you don't, right? But if you're going to be teaching these women in the US that this is what we have to do in order to have a good man in our life, then show me by example how this can actually work. Can it be a healthy relationship? Can it be a healthy family dynamic? I want to see, for an example. I haven't seen one. Have you?
I've seen a couple, but it's very rare. It's very rare. It's rare. And when you say have I seen, I've seen examples of people, just like in monogamy, they're doing the best they can to try and make it work, and and there's problems there too. So just like in a monogamous relationship, you're going to have issues. In a polyamorous relationship, I've seen issues as well. So, but I've seen people, who decided to give it their all and make it, work as best as it can, as far as I've seen.
Right. And can we be honest on this? Even if you're in a monogamous relationship or marriage, the ones that work and doesn't work, I think it all boils down to, did you pick the right partner?
Right. Yes.
Because some of us can be picking the wrong partner for ourselves. I've been married. My husband is passed away. However, looking back on my marriage and who I chose, I wouldn't have chose him knowing the stuff that I know now. I was, I was younger then, and I really didn't have the example because I didn't grow up with my mother or father, Right. So therefore I didn't have the example to know what a healthy relationship looks like, or knowing how to pick the right partner for you. So a lot of times that these relationships or marriages that are not working is because you're not picking the right partner for you. Back to the polyamorous, right? These men out there who want multiple partners or multiple wives, if you're in a polyamorous or polygamous, marriage, I think being upfront and honest about what you want and what you're looking for, and finding that mate that can agree with you on that can work. But you picking women that clearly they want to be in a monogamous relationship, but yet you're doing your thing on the side and behind her back, I don't think that's fair. And that's why you see a lot of infidelity that's going on in these marriages, is because someone is not being honest about who they are. Yes.
Well, can I interject something in that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, women have been trained to be monogamous since all the stories that women read when they were little girls, the fairy prince and Cinderella and all that. These are all geared towards monogamy for them, right? So it structures their mind to think in a monogamous way. Whereas little boys, we're not taught about monogamy. We're taught about, you want it, go get it. You want 2 women, go get 2 women. You want whatever you want, go get it. Fight for it, right? Mm-hmm. By the time most men get exposed to actually having to be in a monogamous situation, they're teenagers at best, and even young adults, right? So the average guy is like, it's like throwing somebody who doesn't know how to swim into the 10 feet deep part, right? You don't know how to swim. What do? You just try to listen to somebody who's trying to tell you from outside, okay, grab on, do this. You know what I mean? So that's what most men do. So they listen to the female. They listen to the girl. The girl says, my mama said we living in sin. You got to marry me. So they marry me. So they do what I always say. They want to do that. They want to. Like, they don't want to be in a monogamous relationship. They want it. Like, the girl wants that, so they want that because they want to be with the girl. But that's not what they really do in their heart. Because 4 or 5 years later, 10 years later, whatever, most guys don't get into their full stride of their manliness and their machismo or whatever until they hit about 30, 32, 33, 35. Now they're hitting their stride. That's when they're most attractive to women. So women start coming up to you. Might be married, everything going great. Now you got these gorgeous women coming up to you. Hi, how you doing? My name is so-and-so, right? So that's the problem with men. The men don't get that training as little kids. So when a woman is there at 22, a guy is just hitting his stride at 22. He doesn't know nothing about monogamy, so he has to learn how to. So he's got to fail his way into it. You know what I mean? And that's the unfortunate part. Most guys get pressured into a monogamous situation, and they really don't want to be in a monogamous situation at that point, but they're pressured into it. Then their internal desires act out later from the pressure of being in a monogamous relationship. That's my opinion. Let me get to some of these chats real quick. It says, Ascom Tagura says, let me see. I hate blacks. They don't fight for us. Tigray. Gotcha. Okay. Let's see here. They want world to fight for them, but no opposite. Okay. You know, every place Liz gonna have trolls, man. We're gonna have trolls every time we go somewhere, we're gonna have trolls. But you know what? The good thing about it is me and you, we big kids. We can punch a kick too, so not no problem. Anyway, back to what we was talking about. Yeah, like I was saying, I don't know if everybody sees it that way. How do you see it as a woman, as a female, and having to deal with men? Do you notice that a lot of men are really not ready for monogamy in their 20s because they just out doing things? That's my opinion. What about you? What do you think, Liz?
Well, I'm not a male, so I really don't know. Well, most of my friends are male friends, and one of the few that I do have, they're very blunt and honest with me, you know, and that's what I appreciate about them. And they actually help me to know what to, you know, to help me to look out for the red flags. You know, the guys who want to lie to kind of just get to what they want to get to, and we know what that is.
Right.
But it was something that you said in the lead attorneys panel when I had I actually, my computer had froze on me, and that's why I had dropped out of the panel. But I continue on to watch, and it was something that you said just now. You just stated it about, you know, young girls were reared into, you know, having teaching them on how to be in a monogamous relationship, but young boys are not. You go out and get, and you want one girl, you want two girls, or whatever. But it was something that you had stated towards the end before you left the panel of the lead attorney. You said our young boys need to go into a monogamy academy or course or something.
Yeah.
You remember saying that?
Yes.
Now, my question to you is that what does that look like? Is this at home where the father and mother is teaching them, or is this a curricular? Is this something in school that they learn, or what?
No. I mean, it's something that they would have to go to a qualified person to learn it, and then to see examples of what that would look like, and how to. Same thing with fatherhood, because most of them didn't have fathers, So they don't really know how to be fathers.
Mhm.
And that's what, I personally am, spoiler alert, I'm trying to put something like that together, just something that they can look at home and say, okay, this is what it should look like. If I should decide to go down that line, if I should decide to be in a monogamous relationship, this is probably the stuff that I'm probably going to be expected to put into a monogamous situation. However, yeah, I think it should be any kind of way it can be taught. Now, back in the day, it was taught in the home, right? You saw your mother and your father, and you saw how they interacted together, and that kind of gave you an idea. Okay, this is probably, if I get a wife, this is probably the kind of interaction I'm probably going to be expected to have. But we don't have that today on a larger scale. We don't have that. Now we got so many people that don't have fathers in the home, women and men don't have fathers in the home. Where do you learn, right? Well, how do you learn to treat to be in a monogamous relationship? At least the girls, like we talked about, they will have Cinderella or you know, uh, what's the other? I mean, those little stories where the princess finds the prince. Hold on. Anyway, I'm in the hood, Liz, so stuff like that happens. Anyway, uh, yeah. So the girls have little things that push. They got the oven, and what's that little oven you can cook little
Easy bake oven, I think.
yeah, there you go. A little easy bake. They got little different subliminal things that teaches them about that pushes them towards monogamy, pushes them towards being a wife and trying to take care of a man and a family, right? Whereas boys don't get that. If you don't have a father to look at, where do you learn about the sacrifices you have to make to be a father, and especially a black father?
Mm.
Any other father, most of the other fathers can send their children out. They don't have to worry about whether they're gonna run into the police or whether uh, you're a black father. You got to worry about whether your child is gonna come home at night. You know what I mean? Just going to school or wherever, right?
Mhm.
So it's a lot of different challenges, and so that's what I was talking about. Is like we have to put something like that together. I'm just saying that's me doing what I think, but wherever we can get this information, church, mosque, temple, wherever you can go to get that information, we got to start making it available for our young men, because what's happening is our men are getting this red pill content and they're not using it properly. The red pill content is supposed to be used in a way to protect, but still at the same time do what we're supposed to do as men. But it's being used, it's being flipped now, and they're using the red pill content to be wrecking balls in the black community, running and gunning, hitting and running, and nobody wants to take care of these children and the women even.
Mhm.
So that's my opinion.
I think it's both parties to blame because women shouldn't even be putting themselves in a position to be a single mother. You know, I don't have children because it was by choice. A choice that I made because I'm like, if I'm not in a stable relationship, then I should not put myself in a position to where I can accidentally or purposely get pregnant and then not knowing that I have a relationship on good foundations, right? And let's be honest, a lot of this stuff is all about lust because everything is overly sexualized now. I
Yeah,
think the media is teaching our young people on how to just be. I mean, look at the music, look at the
yeah,
rap, look at just everything is overly sexualized. Everybody is stimulated sexually. You can't even have a conversation without someone having some explicit thoughts in their mind, by their behavior. I see it with the young men, even at my age, the young 20-year-olds be trying to come after me, but just seeing how they behave, I can I can tell what's I can tell what's influencing them to behave a certain way, right?
right,
So now these young men are going to grow up into adults still being overly sexually stimulated by everything, and they're going to be lusting after so many women. And that's why we have this topic here, like where he's going to cheat anyway, so you might as well, deal with it and have allow him to have multiple partners in a polyamorous relationship, or in a polygamy in marriage. Um, Now, you also stated about, back in the day where the mom and dad was home, but I hear a lot of stories through the comments that I read on my YouTube page where people said, yeah, daddy was home, but he also had another family on the other side of town.
Right.
Back in the days, just nobody never knew about it until he passed on.
Right. That's the best way it should go. That's the best way it should go. No, really. I mean, if you're gonna, if let me say it this way, if you're going to do that, I don't recommend doing that, but if you're going to do that, and the other person has understand that this family comes first, and that's where you're going to be, and then the other family, it sucks for the second family, but for the first family, they first in line, so they get everything first, just like the first wife gets everything first. Whoever's first in line, they get everything first. Now, those children, that do you think that would have affected them if they known that their father had another family on the side, if they knew right at that time, or was it better that they found out later and they were able to grow up with their father and not be tripped out? In other words, which time would they have been better to handle it, as an adult or as a child? In my thinking, it's better as they handle it as an adult. Now, I'm not advocating doing any of that at all. I really not. I think, like you, I think everybody should be honest and upfront. You should just say, hey, you know what? I love you. I'm very much attracted to you. However, I'm not ready to just settle down with one woman.
Right.
So why don't we just keep on dating, and you can date and I can date, and we can just do that. But what happens? This is what happens. The fear of the loss of the female is what drives the men to go ahead and say things they don't really mean. So the female will say, gives an ultimatum. If you don't do this, then I'm going to take myself elsewhere. I'm going to take, what I bring to the table somewhere else. So the man gets scared and says, okay, I'll do what you say. I'll succumb to the demands that you're making on me. Even though that's not how I really feel, but I will succumb to it now, and then I'll worry about my feelings later. So what they do is they try to suppress it. They try to suppress it, and they might get away with it for years. And then one day, that person that I've been married 32 years. I was married probably about I would say maybe 15 years. And see, now I'm old and ugly now, but back then I was, Liz, I was looking good, man. I mean, I was, man.
Stop.
I was looking good, man. I was, I was a tank, man. But anyway, so I'm out on the street, and so I was working, and I went and got, I had gotten hurt or something, so I was working in the office. I used to work in the field, so I worked in the office on that day, and so they sent me to go get some food. So I went and go get some food, and I come out of this store, and oh my gosh, this girl was beautiful. I mean, beautiful black skin, beautiful. She comes up to me and she says, "Hey, look, I know I see you married and everything. I'll just be a girl on the side. Just take me under your wing. I'll be your girl on the side." Mm-hmm. I said, she had somebody with her. Her girl was like, "What are you doing?" Her friend was standing next to her like, "What are you doing?" She said, "I don't care." And so I said, "Hey, you know what? I said, I'm flattered. I said, you know what? If I would do something like that, it would be with somebody like you. You are gorgeous." I said, "But I'm trying to save you, because my wife is a nut, and she would catch me and you, and she would just blow our whole lives up. So I'm saving you from not letting you do it, from not doing something like that." But I wasn't even expecting it. She caught me off guard. But I'm saying that's how it happens a lot of times. The guys, now say I was in a situation where I was like, have been suppressing that all that time, but I really want all these women. I really want that. I would have slipped right into that. You see what I'm saying? That happens to guys a lot because they end up trying to suppress the fact that they really don't want to live that life, but because of the ultimatum, they go ahead and try to do it. Now, how do we? Before I throw it over to you, Liz, let me read some comments real quick. Sharon Coleman says, I think men come into their prime in 40 years old. I agree with you, Sharon, because we are dumb as heck until then. It has always been taught to black girls in the day that you can't do with a man sexually and will be respected. Now, I really want to get into that with you, Liz. Yeah, because that makes a lot of sense there. So that's why women want monogamy. And she says that's true. We appreciate you, Sharon. Thank you for sharing your comments with us.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw her comments. Thank you, Sharon.
Okay, now let's get into this one. Let's get into this one real quick. It's always been taught to girls that you can't do what a man do sexually and be respected. Why not? Why not? Why can't I have 100 partners, or why can't you have 100 partners? And how come people look down on you because you got 100 partners and not me? Why is that?
Well, you know, they already doing it now. I try to keep up with the young folks, and they use they use this term called body count.
Right.
And I remember the first time I heard it, and I was like, body counts? What, y'all killing folks? What's going on? You know? And they're like, Liz, no, how many sexual partners you've been with? And from what I'm hearing, the women are so liberated now. They are going out for theirs and enjoying their sexual lifestyle. And now how it's going to end when they do finally settle down with one partner, if they choose to or not. Because some women, from what I'm hearing, some women don't want to have one partner. But, you know, for the majority, they do. They want to be in a monogamous relationship. Now, as far as in, you've been taught that I remember back in the days, we called, you can't be fast. Right. You know, she fast, she a hussy, she a whore. You know, you couldn't do those things.
Right.
You were taught that. But like you said, the young boys was taught it was okay to look at the young girl and flirt or do whatever. I remember I was in church one time, and a little boy had to have been at the age of maybe 3 or 4 years old. And I'm a very curvaceous woman. And the little boy came behind me and slapped me on my butt and grabbed my butt. And I was looking like, who? And I looked down and saw this little boy. I'm like, who child is this? And the father is over there looking and grinning like, that's my boy. Yeah, you know. And I'm like, is this what you're teaching your child? Because he's going to grow up thinking that this is okay behavior to put your hands on a woman that don't belong to you. Me personally, I didn't find it cute or laughable. Even though he's like, you know, my boy know he see a pretty woman, he know whatever. I get that part, but at the same time, you're also teaching him that is okay behavior. Right? Now, as far as in the whole sexual partner things, that's a personal choice. Now, if you want to have those many body counts, you're risking yourself to what? STDs, you know. Me personally, I don't want to be out there like that. You know, that's a little bit scary to me. And then you hear about people killing each other, you know, because they're being with multiple partners, and you thinking one partner, you know, you got to be careful with that. There comes a risk when you want to live that type of lifestyle and be with that many partners. I even have an associate, a girlfriend of mine, and she literally told me, I'm gonna be honest with you. She said, I'm a hoe, and I know I'm a whore.
Wow.
I like, you know, penis, and I'm gonna get as much as I want. Why not? And she wasn't ashamed to say it.
Right.
You know, but now we live in a culture where everything is so accepting now. I mean, look at Little Nas X. There's a new video. I think you did a video on that. I couldn't even comment on that because you shut down the comments. He's in the video completely nude.
I know. I didn't shut down the comments. YouTube shut down the comments. They'll pick
Oh,
videos. They'll pick videos that I do and shut the comments down. No, I never shut my comments down.
because they're showing support for that nonsense or saying
Exactly,
like
and
that.
because I'm saying what I'm saying about it, YouTube was shutting my comments down. Yeah.
Right. So we're living in a culture now where this is culturally accepted to have as many sexual partners as you want. Now, back in the days, it was a little bit more stricter on the young girls and the women, but the women now go out to a restaurant, go out to the park. Look how the women are dressing. They're literally dressed in such an explicit way to where it only could arouse
Right.
any man or woman to think sexual thoughts.
Right. Yeah, provocative
Very
dressing.
provocative.
Yeah, and it's to provoke the alpha males to come their way. You know, I see that too, Liz. But do you think that, see, what most of these guys out here are teaching is that is not going to end well for the average woman. Like running, you know, racking up that high body count is not going to end well for most. Do you think that is true, or do you think that that's just a misnomer that they're putting out there? Or what do you think about that?
Okay, typically, I know you're a man. Typically, men don't want to be with a woman who's been with 20, 30, 50, 100 men. You know, you've been ran through.
Let me tell you why, Liz. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you finish, but let me tell you why men think like that. Why men are like that? Because most men are very what's the word I'm looking for? Self-conscious. They're very self-conscious. So if you've been with a lot of different men, how am I going to measure up to the sexual things that you've been through already? I'm not going to be able to. That's why they like young girls, because the young girls don't have that much experience from their thinking. They when you with somebody who has had a lot of partners, what am I going to show you? What am I going to do for you that you haven't already seen before? Where am I going to take you that you already seen? That's what most men think. So therefore, if she's going to get bored quickly and the relationship's going to be over fast, let me don't even put myself in that situation. Let me just go get somebody younger with not as much experience. Okay, back to you, Liz. Sorry.
Okay, so I never thought about it that way. I mean, I don't live that type of lifestyle to even know what that is like, and just hearing the male perspective on that, especially the reason why they go looking for younger women, because there's a lot of older women who are not out there like that,
right?
You know? So I don't know. I just thought men who wanted to be with younger women because, you know, I didn't know it was because of that. But
yeah.
Who would want to be with anybody who's been with that many sexual partners? The woman can think the same way that the man think. Okay, you've been with this many women. How do I know that I am sexually satisfying you when you've been with everybody? You know, you might get bored with me because I'm not doing it like Tamika did it, or whoever else did it. So it can go vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you have a sex addiction, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people who have those sex addiction, they need to be they need to be honest. But half of the times, like you said, they fear to lose the woman, which I think is very selfish.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, it's very selfish.
It is. It is. Yeah.
And I don't know if scared is being the right word for it. You know, is they're being greedy. They want their cake and ice cream and all that, the cherry on top, all that. Let me keep her. So let me just say whatever I can say to her to kind of keep her, you know, and on the back burner, and I can still go out and explore, you know, other women.
Well, see, it was like we were talking about earlier. See, what happens is they get the ultimatum. Either you gonna marry me. What are we doing here? See, what are we doing? Are we doing this? Are we doing that? Am I your girlfriend? Am I this? So they get these ultimatums. And so once they get the ultimatum, then they say, well, this is a good woman. I don't want to lose this woman, but I still want to play. You know what I mean? So it's like I'll try to not do it. I'll try to not play, but ultimately somebody comes along that opens that door a lot of times. Let me get some more of these comments in here real quick. Let's see. Oh, we got one more. Sharon Coleman says being deceptive. Thank you, Sharon. Yeah, yeah. That's usually what it is. Most men are like that, but they're I'm talking from the men's perspective. You are oh wait a minute, let me get the lead attorney here. Hold on. Lead attorney's in the house. Oh, salute, bro Clarence, and salute, bro Clarence and everyone. Salute, Liz. Okay, I got to salute, bro Clarence, and it should say Liz and everyone here. Oh, okay, right on. Thank you, brother lead attorney. I was hoping, man, we were trying to pick a time where you weren't on, so we could do this. Because we both watch your show religiously, but anyway, we wanted to have this conversation, but shout out to the lead attorney. He's the one that put this thing together. So peace to you, and peace to everybody that's out there watching. Anyway, back to you, Liz. What do you say?
Like Sharon Coleman said, being deceptive. A lot of the problems that we have in a relationship when it comes to infidelity and not being faithful is because you're not being honest. It's going to be a domino effect of, like the lead attorney, of divorces,
Yeah,
of all kind of stuff, that goes on between these marriages or relationship that doesn't work out because somebody is not being honest about who they are and what they want. Bottom line, that's what everybody needs, just to be upfront. If you want to be with multiple partners, find the type of group of people that's in that type of lifestyle that would agree to what you want. There's a brother, I was doing some research, and there's a brother, Kevin Wesley.
yeah, I know that brother. Yeah.
And let me tell you, he did a breakdown of the 6 reasons why you might be interested in a polyamorous relationship. And I'm going to be honest with you. When he broke everything down, I almost considered it. I was like, you know what?
Yeah, he's
I
a very
almost
smart brother.
considered it, huh?
He's a very
You know
smart
him?
brother. I don't know him personally, but I know of his channel. I've watched his channel. He's very, very intelligent brother. Very intelligent. Yeah.
The points that he brought up made sense about polyamorous relationship. Even the lead attorney said, when we were on his panel, when he said we are already sharing, one another. But the key factor that was missing is that we're doing it unwillingly because no one is being upfront about it. And I feel like a lot of the divorce or infidelity or cheating or anything that goes along with it, I believe that percentage will go down if we would have more people like Kevin Wesley that can bring it in such a way that is inviting. And also for those to, okay, if you agree to that type of lifestyle, come on, let's go. Let's find our relationship dynamic and let it work or whatever. But when you're doing things behind closed doors and behind people's backs, you're going to have these issues that come up. Not only does it affect you and the person that you went, it also affects the children as well. And then it's an ongoing cycle, and then it's like a generational thing.
Yeah.
No one's being faithful. Everybody's doing it. And if we're looking at the times now, things are not getting any better.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's I know the brother that you're talking about. I know of the brother, rather I should say. And he definitely conducts he has what it seems to look like a working polyamorous relationship, and definitely has he has a lot of good information on a lot of different things. But yeah, polyamorous is definitely something that he can definitely speak on. However, see, I think the problem with the polyamorous situation, but I also think that it's coming. It's coming where it's gonna have to be legalized sooner or later. It's gonna because the women are outnumbering the men so much. It's gonna have to be legalized. That's why they're backing off of it in Utah. They're backing off of it in Colorado. They're backing off of it because once you look at the census data, you see that there's so many women per one man. Eventually, they're going to have to just say, you know what, or they're going to have to do like marijuana. The federal government's going to have to just say, we're going to look the other way. State, you do what you want to do. We're just going to look the other way, right? Even though there's like, I live in California. The federal law says you're going to be arrested for having marijuana on you. Yet the state says marijuana is legal, right? Because the feds just say, okay, we're just going to turn it. We're going to look the other way. I think they're going to have to do that with polygamy because of the numbers, and especially Black people. Well, I would say the Black and the Caucasian community, because the numbers of women to men are so high in both of those communities that they're going to have to make a law saying, hey, you know what, we got to make an exception here. You can marry as many women as you can take care of, you know what I mean? or the federal government will give you money if you take on another wife or whatever. They're going to have to do something to encourage family getting back together, because it's not working the way it is now with the crime and everything. It's just not working the way it is now. That's my understanding. But I will say about the guy, Kevin, he does show you a lot of the benefits of how women can get along. And he does show both sides of it. He shows sides where they're not getting along sometimes, and then he shows the side where they are getting along. And that's most of the time. So, I mean, it's a lot of different things. Just like we were talking about earlier, monogamy has points where you're not going to get along, right? You're pissed off at your wife or husband or significant other, whatever, and then you get back together. Same thing, I'm supposed, in polygamy. Now, my question to you is, would you ever consider it as a female, as a Black woman, especially on your way to Africa? Would you even consider being a third or fourth wife or whatever, right?
I never thought. I guess my first answer would be no. But like I said, if I see a healthy example of it, that it can work, and there's no issues involved, and everybody is getting along cohesively, I may consider it.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna ever see something where there's no issues. There's always gonna be issues with whatever kind of setup it is, whether it's monogamy or whatever, or polyamorous. It's always gonna be some issues somewhere. It's like guys ask me questions like, oh, well, in a marriage, I'm glad to see you in a marriage, and everything worked out. I'm like, everything worked out? What are you talking about? There's a problem every day. I get a call. It's a problem, but there's something's going on, right? It's just about putting out fires. There's different things you're gonna have to deal with something. You know what I mean? So I would look at it like this: if it's more benefits than drawbacks for your personality, for my personality, then I'm sure, because the way it came up, polyamorous, the way it came up is because of, is my interpretation, that a lot of men would go to war back in the day. They would go to war, and if the men would die, but the wife would still be there. So it was supposed to be up to the brother to marry your brother's wife. You got to marry your brother's wife, because if your brother's wife is out there, then she could, a woman with no husband out trying to work, they'd kill her, right? You look in the Bible, Jesus' mother. When was Jesus' mother? I don't know.
It wasn't Mary.
No, it was another chick that was, I forgot, man. It was a guy who couldn't work, and his daughters went out to do the job in the field. His daughters went out to go work, but he said, he was telling them, you got to put on my clothes, because if they catch you out there as a woman, they're going to kill you. So you got to put on my clothes. So they had to work out in the field, do his work, but they had to dress like him to look like men when they was out there in the field, so nobody would jump on them. And so that's the situation we were coming from, where, if a woman's out there by herself, she's just subject to whatever's going on out there. So they're married to brother's wife. But then it got to the point where now you can marry anybody's wife, because there's so many guys that's killed, and then I think it just expanded from there. It just expanded expanded to now people want to have uh multiple wives or whatever, you know what I mean? But my thing is, how you gonna have a multiple wife when you can't even have one? You can't even have the one woman. Now you're gonna expound that to have multiple dysfunctional relationships. That doesn't make any sense to me.
And
Explain
that's
that to
why,
me.
see, that's why I said until I can see a healthy example of a polygamous relationship, I may consider it. Like you said, if you have one issue with one woman, what who's to say you're gonna have double and triple and
Right?
quadruple the issue? Who wants to be a part of that? Who wants to have double the headache, triple the headache of something? But if there are healthy examples of it out there that it actually worked cohesively, maybe a lot of people would consider that. Maybe a lot of women will consider that. Now, I have another question for you. A lot of people are saying that because we are descendants of slaves, right, that were enslaved here in America, that we had adopted to the Western culture of marriage. This
Yeah.
was not what was a part of our culture, and we
Right.
have taken up on the European culture. What is
Right.
your thought about that?
I think that is 100% a fact. I mean, we didn't speak this language. We didn't think this way. We didn't eat this food. We didn't do a lot of different things that we do now. We didn't have the belief system we have now. We didn't have we didn't think about each other the way we think about each other now, based on being brought here. And so that's why I think not only do we not think about things the way we should think, we don't even we don't even have our original belief system or anything, standard system. Everything is centered around money now, but back then we thought about people. So I mean, it's just we're far off from where we should be as far as thinking in the mentality, and as far as women, we never thought about women in the way that we think about women today. Like you said, we were talking about, you can have a song out there, and I know because of YouTube, a lot of shut down a lot of my stuff. They shut down my live streams, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. YouTube, our people are the only people that YouTube will play videos with black men pulling guns on other black men in a video and show the video. You can't see that if you go to the Jewish community. You can't see that if you go to the Asian community. You can't see that if you go to the Latino community. You can't see that. No other YouTube won't show any other race of people pulling guns on each other except black people. So I'm saying that to say we pick that up and we think that's cool because we keeping it real. I'm keeping it real, right? So that has been promoted to us, but people are making money off of that, and we don't understand. We don't see how that affects us. Now, bring it back home to what you was asking me about. So now we done got it conditioned that bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. We got, sorry about that, Liz. But that's what we got. We listen to that. At least I did when I was coming up. When we listened to that and we listened to the beat, it wasn't until I got old enough to say, actually listen to the lyrics and say, wait, what? Wow. I was listening to that and I didn't really realize the effects of that until after I got to a certain age, and I was like, wait a minute, I can't have that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't pump that in my car. I got my children in the car. I can't pump something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then even if I'm by myself, is this how I really believe?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really believe that. So I had to. It's a, like the Bible says, it's a tearing apart. It's a coming apart. You got to come apart from what you thought was right, and then you got to come into what you know is right, and then walk in that way. We don't do any of the things that we used to do in our culture. Women were like jewelry in our culture. Now look at, you turn on the BET Awards, it's a travesty. You know what I'm saying? Decent people can't even watch something like that because it turns black women into just sex objects. That's why, I don't know if you saw this, Liz, but remember Regis Philbin? Meet Regis and Kathy Lee.
Yes, yes.
He got fired. You know how he got fired?
No.
He grabbed Nicki Minaj's ass on live TV.
Wow.
Nicki Minaj, go look it up.
Why would he
Nicki,
do that?
that's why. Why would he do that? What did he think about black women, and what did he think about her that made him think it was going to be okay to just reach over and grab her ass, not behind the, not in the back, but I mean on live TV.
Mm-hmm.
On live TV.
Well,
That's when he got fired. I'm
true.
sorry. Go ahead, Liz.
That is true. And even though she displays herself in such a way that you would think that this is the type of lifestyle that she is, because that's the music that she puts out. If you look at all of her videos, she's showing her boobs and her butt and talking about sexual explicit things. But professionally, he shouldn't have done that, right?
Right.
But not only with her, all black women go through that. I go through that. You can be the most classiest, well-dressed, high-polished woman, and yet you will still black woman, and yet you will still be disrespected in such a way like that. I get disrespected all the time. I had a black brother who called me a bitch the other day. He was around his white friends, all male, and they were using the word nigger. I mean, every other word was nigger, and I was like, "Oh Lord, I can't take it." And I said, "Can you be so kind and refrain from using the N word?" And so the white guys were like, "Oh, ma'am, I'm sorry. All of the white men were very apologetic. But the one black guy said, "Fuck that bitch. Yeah. I'm going to say what I want to say." And I'm like, I said, your mother must be very proud of you. Yeah. She must be extremely proud of you. And he just kept on calling me a B. And then the white men grabbed him and said, "Dude, what are you doing? Yeah. What are you saying?"
Yeah.
And then they kind of pushed him off, and then they came back. They were very apologetic again. And I'm like, wow, this is coming from my brother. And I love my black brothers now.
Yeah, I understand.
But yet, this is what they're feeding. Like you said in the music, the bees ain't but hoes, you know. This is the music that's feeding them to believe that this is okay behavior.
Right.
Even down to the set. If you listen to the words, like I had stopped listening to Chris Brown's because every lyric that he was talking about in his music was just so sexually explicit. I'm like, oh, I mean, very vivid in what he's saying. It wasn't like the Isley Brothers where it's more subtle. It's more in your face, and this is what I want to do to you, and all this type of stuff. These men, and that's what I believe. That's why these men can't be with one woman, because they're all sexually aroused. Everything. You can't watch a commercial without something being sexual, something sexual about it. Eating a burger could be sexual. Riding a bike could be sexual. Anything. So everybody is sexually stimulated. You know. So how can someone be faithful when your eyes is just wandering everywhere because you want a little bit of everything? And like you said, the young boys was taught to go after and get what you want by any means necessary.
Right. Yeah. It's you know, and so that was, once I realized that I was a monster, I was a wrecking ball in the black community, I realized that I had to look myself in the mirror and say, what are you going to do? Are you going to continue this and put down what you know is right? Or are you going to take a stand? So I chose at first to just let that, put that voice away. But eventually I had to say to myself, man, I can no longer run from the mission I got, which is to try to, I can't save everybody, but there's one or two guys might listen to me. All this I'm doing might save one or two guys, and wants to save one or two black families. Want to save somebody who's that crazy from, being the kind of guy that will put his hands on his wife and turn his child into a rapist because he didn't ever see no love in his house. I'm trying to stop all that. So I know that I have to go out and compete against the Lil Nas X's, the like you said, the Chris Browns, the Boosie Badasses, those guys that's out there that making it fair seeming to just go ahead and be as violent as you can to any black person, especially black women.
Mhm.
We don't have no. There's we used to have a thing where you was an elder, they had respect for you. Okay, they would say, okay, well, you know what, I'm not gonna step over this person. Now it's just not like that no more. It's just like these young boys to do whatever. And why? Because people like Viacom, YouTube, they'll pay them to be that way. They pay them to be that way. And so they don't have, first it was the crack. The crack paid them to be that way. Now, not only does the crack pay them to be that way, but YouTube pays them to be that way. And companies like Viacom, going on all these record companies, they pay them to be that way. What are we gonna do? And here's the kicker. Liz. They get all the girls. So I'm here telling you, hey, be a good guy. Don't talk about women like that. And you with your hands in your pocket, and the other guys, they're jumping around at a rap concert, and there's girls all over the place, half dressed, half naked. Who you gonna listen to? Me or Boosie Badass on stage, calling every woman out there a bitch and a hoe? You know what I mean? So it's a sad situation, but that don't mean we shouldn't try. That don't mean we shouldn't open up the conversation, because there's something that we can do. Like you doing what you're doing. You're going to Africa. You're going to show that can work. That situation can work. See, we have to have different. Black people are so diverse that we can show that there's different ways to approach things. We don't have to approach it the same way. You know what I mean? So that's why I appreciate you coming on this channel here, so we can talk about it, so we can, get down to the nuts and bolts of how we can get out of it. Is there a way we can get out of it? Now, let me ask you this. Yeah, that's a good question. Is there a way we can turn this thing around?
It is. And how we can turn it around, it starts with you as the individual. You have to look back and see what is happening in this world that is affecting us in our family, in our with our children, with ourselves. You have to clean house. Everything starts at home. We have to start teaching our young boys and our young girls on how they should be brought up and reared in the family home. The music is very powerful in this medium, where it's teaching not only the young. I'm seeing some of us old folks out here that has been accustomed or conditioned to also start to behave in such a way that is not healthy for the Black family, or any family. Let me just say that in general, any family. Everyone makes money off of Black family pain. Wow.
Oh. Wow. I'm trying to catch up while you talking, Liz.
Yeah, that's something right there. Everyone makes money off of Black family pain.
Isn't that terrible?
That's terrible. Yeah.
That's terrible.
Okay, remember we talked about Little Nas X, right? This is a young brother that is 21 years old. I don't know if you know his backstory. Do you know his backstory?
Not fully, no.
Do you know that his mother is I hate to use this word, but she's on drugs. People call her a crackhead or whatever.
Right.
And someone, I guess, saw his mother strung out somewhere, and they kind of took a picture or video of his mother. So that speaks volume for me about how he was brought up as a young kid. Maybe he did not have the proper guidance from his parents. I don't know about the father, but I know the mother is now strung out on drugs. I don't know if he's helping her to be in rehab or not, but just to even think about that, to imagine what type of household he grew up under and he was surrounded by, to feel that has groomed him to be who he is today, right? And to be pushing off this type of message that he's pushing off now, because a lot of the young kids are watching Little Nas X. And if we're not going to teach our children about the message that he's pushing out, they're going to conform to what he's teaching in his music videos, right? Which is sexually explicit, even in the BET Awards, where he was kissing the young man at the end. Why do we need to know?
I said, oh my God, just thinking about that, man. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Holy smokes.
but this is part of the problem that is going on right now, because everything is, like I said, is all sexually aroused. Everybody's open and free to do whatever they want at whatever age they want. They're teaching the kids at a young age to identify with things that they shouldn't even be thinking about at this time. They should be just enjoying being a child. But
Right.
the children these days are not. They're so far advanced when it comes to sexuality. I remember when I was a kid, I had never thought about, sex or anything like that. We
Right.
didn't see that because we didn't have the internet, of course.
Right.
So it's a little bit different for us. But how we're going to fix the problem is you have to start within your own home,
Yeah.
and
I
you have to
agree.
start with your own children
I
and
agree.
teach them on the direction that you want them to go in their life. They said train up a child as you want them to go. So when they depart from you, they remember all the teaching and all the lessons that they learned from mom and dad, right? Now, whatever choices they make outside of that when they were an adult, they're gonna make their own mistakes like we all did. We learn from our mistakes, and we learn, okay, no, not to do that again, no, not to be in this type of environment, no, not to hang around with these type of people. But you have to do what you can do to in order to start at home. It starts at home. We can't allow the internet to be raising our children and teaching our children on things and topics that is not healthy for the family dynamic.
Right.
Let's just say it like that.
Right. Right. But see, like I said, like it's so. uh, Okay, let's get into it. So you got a lot of women, a lot of in a black household. It's mostly single moms, right? And some single dads, but it's mostly single moms. Um, Maybe two or three children, and the single mom has to work. Then she got to come home and provide dinner. How can she watch what each child is doing and whether they're on the internet or not, and whether they, if they have a phone or if they have a computer? How can the person watch that? I made a video about this. Like, who's going to be responsible for that situation? Because you're right, they're exposing our children, especially our children, to this type of over sexualization. So how do we fight it? Because a lot of our parents are working adults, and they just, and that's not even if they're going to school or anything, trying to improve the situation. How are we going to police this situation? Like, what should they do to police the situation? If you're in a house like that, what do you do?
Well, I remember back in the days where you had a whole village that that looked
Right.
after your neighbors was your parents. I remember my neighbors used to be able to spank us if they saw
Right.
us out of line. We
Right.
had cousins, we had aunts and uncles and neighbors that were there to help assist, because my mom was a single mother of four, but yet she had support from family members that would take us in and help us. However, it shouldn't be like that. What these single mothers need to do is start teaching their children to not make the same mistakes that she made,
Right.
right?
Right.
And because it's going to be a generational type of cycle. It's going to be an ongoing thing, because you see, and I've seen it in my family, where my mother was a teenage mother and her sister was a teenage mother, and then thank God I wasn't. Then my aunts had her kids, and they became teenage mothers, because this is all they know, this is all they saw. But yet nobody had the maturity or was stable enough to say, okay, let me stop this. Let me teach my young children, my young girls, my young boys to not make the mistakes that I made, because when I was young, I made this poor decision. I did this. I laid down with this person that produced a child that I was not able or capable of taking care of. Some of us are not being honest about the mistakes that we make, so the children can learn from that. You know, I'm not okay. I don't know what.
No, you good. You good. I just put you out full blast.
Okay, so yeah, so we have to start teaching our children from the mistakes that we make, so that they don't make the same mistakes that we were making in the past. Not, just speaking in general, but it has to start at the household. It starts at home with teaching our children the right way on how they should live in society. And then it also um, and teaching them that, remember we were talking about the single moms, is based on the decision that they were making with not picking the right partners for themselves, right? You picking a man that you know that is not in a stable relationship, and then you produce this child, and now you're a single mom, and then the dad is gone, and now the child is not raising in a household with it, in a household with his father and mother. A lot of these mistakes is because these single women are making poor decisions on themselves. That's on them. That's the repercussion of what they're doing wrong. You reap what you sow.
Let me get to some of these chats. I hear you, Liz. Let me get to some of these chats. JP, the aspiring matriarch, says, cultivate the content you allow in before your child can have any electronic device. You have to set it up. Set up parental controls. Remove destructive apps. I agree with you, JP. That's good, but some of these kids, man, they masterminds, so it's hard to run behind them. So I'm not saying don't try. I'm just saying it's an ongoing fight, man. Don't think just because you clicked off on it and you have filters and all of that, don't think they can't find a way around it. So you just got to constantly be checking and checking and rechecking them again. You know what I mean? Sharon Coleman says, control their devices and no TV. Yeah, good luck on that one, Sharon. I mean, controlling their device is cool, but today's children, man, it's hard to keep them away from everything. But you know what? Hey, a good parent is going to at least try. JP, the aspiring matriarch, when you hear the music, don't just turn it off. Use it as a teachable moment. Explain what it is to be, what is being sold to do the same with the ads. JP, the aspiring matriarch, you know what? You got some good points. If you could go ahead and click on, I put the link out here. If you could click on and kind of expound on this, that would be great, man. You could come on in and chime in and explain more about that. Yeah, so like we were saying, it's our children are being bombarded. Our children are being bombarded with all of this sexuality, especially the boys. Now, what's one thing we don't really talk about, but the boys are especially being bombarded by everything from cereal to wrenches to, just simple items and things are being sexualized for them. And then we expect them to act like they got sense when puberty hits them. You know what I mean? So it's hard for them, and we have to find a way to, like you say, have these teachable moments especially with our young men, because they grow up thinking they don't see, I won't say a lot of them don't have their fathers there, but they see other men in the community mistreating our women. Mm-hmm. And so that's where they get the idea or accept the idea that, oh, okay, black women are for being mistreated. And that's all they're good for, is being mistreating. While other women, that's what you should aspire to be with other women, to be if I'm going to be a good person, I'm going to be a good person in this relationship with this other woman, not with a black woman. And that, to me, is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I don't see where that makes sense. But like I said, that came from a lot from the music. It comes from a lot from the music. And I did a video on this. Like I said, who is responsible? Like, I know we as parents, we're responsible for what comes in our homes, and we try to monitor that. But on a larger scale, because somebody's out there policing what Jewish children are watching. Somebody's policing that. Somebody's policing what the Anglo children are watching out there in the general public. Somebody's policing that. Somebody's policing what the Latino and Asians are watching when they can just pop on the TV or go on YouTube. Who's policing what black people are watching? I think it's just about money. So it just becomes about money. YouTube makes a ton of money off of Boosie's Vivo or any of these cats' Vivo accounts, where they just pay them to do whatever. And if they get hot, they get hot. They can get, like, look, when we talk about Lil Nas X, let's talk about Lil Nas X. 200 million views on a video where he's humping the devil. Think of that. That doesn't even make sense to me. But they're paying him all this money to put those images out there. Now the question is, here's the question: Why would they pay him to put those images out there? What do you think, Liz? Why would they pay a man, Lil Nas X, who basically was an unknown until he came out and said he was gay? Basically was an unknown. Oh, okay, we got somebody in the building. Liz, do you mind if I bring in somebody in the building?
No, go ahead.
Okay, we got JP, the aspiring matriarch. Are you ready to come up, JP? All right,
Yeah,
let's drink. Okay. How you doing, sis?
I'm doing wonderful. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You sound great. What about you, Liz? Can you hear?
Okay. Normally, can,
Can you hear, Liz?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, go ahead, JP.
uh, a little bit of background. I was a stay-at-home mother for about 12 years, and then I opened my own daycare and continued to have my children at home, and then raise other children until my children went on to their middle grade years, and then that's when I went to college and furthered my own goals. So a lot of what I say comes from that time and experience and dealing with children and parents on that level. I hear what you're saying, and I'm sorry. Tell me your name again, sis.
That's Liz.
Liz. Nice to meet you. I apologize for not catching your name earlier. We have a habit of being able to express immediately the negative things that we see or that we've gone through or witnessed. And when it comes to this opportunity, this time, the forums that we have here, I just try to make sure that I put out as many solutions as possible. We've always got to, we all know the problems, we all know the issues, what we would like to see change, but what can we change? So being at home, when my kids were 12, I had all sons. When they were 12, I played the one of those songs like I'm a Man or whatever it is to bring them into their young manhood and let them know that their lives were changing in that way. That's when they received their first phone. But I also turned off all of those features. I set it up so you can only get phone calls for these hours after school or whatever the case may be. So we just have to take every opportunity to do better and be proactive instead of reactive.
Okay. Sounds good. What you think about that, Liz?
I don't have any children to be the best person to answer that, because there are things that she probably experienced that I probably wouldn't understand when it comes to, raising kids or whatever. So,
Well,
but from my experience as being as a child in a single mother's home, things that I've witnessed that my mother had did that I knew wasn't healthy, but you couldn't say anything because you was a child and you needed to stay in a child's place and you didn't say anything. You had to keep your mouth shut. Right. I wish that my mother was more open and honest about some of the stuff that she put us through that brought a lot of stress on us in the household, in schools, where it affected our academics. It affected our relationship with socializing with other people, because the mistakes that she made affect us. And then it also in return affect us as we became adults until, you end up getting help through therapy and just learning life through, on your own. If I had a child in this day and time and era, I'm gonna be honest with you, I probably wouldn't want to raise my child here in the US, because it seems like here in the US they're exposed to so much stuff that I see in other cultures. You don't see that over there. Like when I was in Africa there, with my siblings, some of the stuff that we would talk about that's going on in the US, they don't see in Africa. They don't see that in Nigeria. They may see some of the stuff on the internet, but their mind is like, what is this? Why do the Black Americans do this? Why do you guys do that? Why you do this? It's not a thing over there. So culturally, I probably wouldn't want to raise my children here in the US. Culturally, I wouldn't, because they're too openly exposed to so much here into the Western mindset. It's destructive to me. I think it's destructive not only to the Black family, but to all families, especially the young kids, where they're rearing these kids up to believe. Why should a drag queen be going to an elementary school to be teaching children on about transgender and homosexuality? Why
Wow.
are you talking about sex in
Wow.
elementary? But
Wow.
you don't see that in other cultures. Like you said, you probably won't see that in the Jewish community or in the Indian community.
Right.
But here, why are we doing that here?
Right. 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 I think oh, go ahead, sis. Go
Well, I
ahead,
was
sis.
just going to say, I'm not in disagreement with you there. I don't believe that everything that we're allowed to do in our homes should be brought into our schools or classrooms or into our children's purview. I do, however, believe that we need to do a better job of educating our children earlier. I understand and I feel you on the not raising, wanting to raise your children here. I don't know how many places abroad you've been. Having grown up abroad, I appreciated being an American child and being a Black American child at that.
Sis, can I ask you a quick
I
question?
remember,
Can I
go
ask you a
ahead,
quick question? Where abroad did you grow up?
in Germany.
Okay. Okay. Please
I grew
continue.
up in Germany. My father was in the military.
Okay.
I traveled to Italy, Spain, and France, and went back to Spain as a young adult.
Oh,
Uh, but what I experienced there, there was still a certain level of respect for American citizenship and culture. I will admit that that is diminishing as time goes on. But the safety standards and values that we have here in the United States far outweigh what exist in other countries. Our rights as women, Black women, is something we need to keep in mind. I don't think that we keep that in perspective when we are considering going elsewhere. But I do believe that we should travel and we should encourage our people to go back to Africa. It's one goal that if I had a bucket list, that's probably the only thing that would be on it.
can I ask you a
But
question, sis?
yeah.
Can I ask you a question? I mean,
Mhm.
I think you're right about what you're saying. But I want to ask you something before we get too far along on the line. I want to jump back to the topic real quick. Today's topic was actually about polygamy, but me and Liz just got all off on the whole different topics. But that's okay because I enjoy talking to her. I'm sure she talking to me too. But I have a question for you since we got you on the line. Let's get
Sure.
another female's opinion. Do you think, would you ever consider a polygamous relationship with with a man?
Do I get to have two husbands or he gets to have two wives?
No. You get to have two. He gets to have two wives. No, I don't think there's any. I don't think there's a man that would. I'm just gonna say this before you answer. I don't think that there's a man that would allow you to have another husband. And if he did, would you really respect that man? Would you respect a man that said, "Yeah, I don't care. You go ahead and be with that man"? And then I don't think that the average one would respect that. If that's me. I don't know, but please answer the question if you would for us, PJ. I mean JP.
I don't believe that there is anything wrong with polygamy. I spent 13 years of my life as a Muslim woman.
All right.
No, we did not have that type of marriage, but I believe if you can actually sit down, communicate, and hammer out those details as adults and commit to those details as adults, yeah, you can have a polygamous relationship. I also believe and would respect a man who could do that and stand on that. The problem is if that's not your square, don't stand on it.
So I
That's
mean,
it.
so okay, this is great. Now we getting some meat off the bone here. Okay, you're saying you would respect a man that if you had two husbands, you would respect one of the husbands that said, okay, you can go between each two. You would respect that?
But y'all are here for different reasons. It's not like I'm gonna sit down to the table and be like, "Ooh, I get to sleep with you on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I get to sleep with you on Friday, Saturday, Sunday." You know what I'm saying? Thursday is, throwback day. That's not it, right? If you're talking about having extra partners, it's for a reason. Someone is not fulfilling some portion of the things you think you need. However, everything else is going great for y'all. You all sit down and communicate. Baby, here's the issue. What can we do about it? After some discussion, okay, the only thing we can seem to think about is you bringing in someone to fulfill that need. And that's their role. They stay in their lane, you stay in your lane. Listen, I am a woman who has technically been married for 25 years. It'll be 26 in October. I've
All
been
right.
estranged from my husband for at least the last 11 or so. Don't all right it, honey. It's a crap show over
I'll
here.
thank you for doing
But let me tell you the honest truth about it.
All right.
I was the one. We went through a lot of ups and downs. Our marriage started out on a bad foundation. Not really anybody's fault. Terrible timing, right? My mother. I got pregnant. My mother got diagnosed with terminal cancer, and
Sorry.
then feelings and emotions. We married out of fear, so on. I appreciate that. But that's the backstory, right? So we get to a point in life where I decide, I realize my life ain't going great. I'm not being a good example for my sons. I'm not being a good wife to my husband. I need to make some changes. I decided to get an education. I decided to go ahead and lose weight by having gastric bypass surgery. I know my life is going to change. I sit this man down to him and I say, listen, baby, I love you. I don't want our relationship to end or change, but I know these things are going to affect us. Let's do something about it. Let's head it off. Unfortunately, that ain't how it went. But I did have the conversation. When you lose about 60 pounds, honey, you can smell a man from a football field away.
Wow.
So I sat him down. Listen, I'm having a hard time. You're not here. We had already discussed him going out and doing his own thing anyway. So listen, I think we're at that point. So before I cheat on you, let's figure out what we can do. And we sat down and came up with an agreement and an arrangement. But everybody has to stick to that agreement and arrangement.
Now, see, I agree with that. I agree with that. The problem that I'm having, see, this is what I think you are demonstrating what a lot of women don't see it this way. See, you're demonstrating that, okay, I have a guy, but you're the side dude. So you're the side dude. What I'm talking about is when you have a man having two women, I mean, they are two women and they're all in the same home. When typically, when we're talking about two guys and a woman, you're going to have both of those guys in the same home. See, there's in every house, there has to be an alpha dog. There has to be an alpha dog in every house. So who's going to be the alpha dog and who's going to be the beta dog? And are you going to respect the beta dog? That's the question.
Yeah. Okay. So here's my question. First of all, why can't there? I understand there's all of this when two men can't live in one household because someone has to have, rules and roles. But let me ask you, if you both know your real rules and roles, why can't y'all live in the same space? Right? You all have a certain structure that you live by. Let's talk about it because the military does it every day. Right? There are, 25 soldiers in your unit. In your unit, those 25 soldiers, y'all live together every day under a certain set of rules. And then inside of that, you may have your beta alpha male situation. But the reality is you live by this set of rules first. This set of rules says that this man's domain. Yes, so hold on, let me finish.
Okay.
This set of rules says that this portion of the home and responsibilities is this man's domain. This portion of the rules and responsibilities is this man's domain. Stay in your lane. Same thing happens if you're dealing with a polyamorous situation with women, because when you're talking about Islam, they shouldn't be living in the same home. They should each have their own homes, by the way. But when you're talking about with women, you have to put your women into two. This is your lane, stay in it. This is your lane, stay in it. Now, in that situation, you are the one who is in total control, but that's because women need that more than men do. Women don't have a level of discipline that men do, which is why you see so many undisciplined young boys like Lil Nas X walking around here twerking today.
I agree with you, except you use the army situation. Everything works on a ship. Everything works in a barracks until you bring a woman in there. See, what happens is every man has a alpha dog inside of them. And sooner or later, that alpha dog is going to come out. And if you have two men with one woman, and then you get two sets of different instructions, whose instructions are you going to follow? That's, to me, that's what would create the confusion for me as a man, because I'm going to want you to follow my instructions. Give me 1 second. I'm going to want you to follow my instructions. Now, if he giving you instructions, now you got a decision to make. Who are you gonna follow? My instructions or his instructions? And what's the criteria for whose instructions you're gonna follow? That's the situation, because there's always got to be an alpha dog. There's always gonna be somebody on the top. So how do we
You are
determine it? I'm gonna get back to you, Liz, too. So don't go nowhere. I'm gonna get back to you.
Okay, so let's talk about it. When you are in a business situation, right, that men work together in partner situations, you have a lane that you stay in. Your CFO stays in the CFO's lane, yes or no?
Yeah, but
When he get outside the CFO, no, let me finish now. When he get outside
okay.
the CFO lane, that's when he starts to mess things up. Okay,
Right.
your COO stays in his lane, does his thing, stuff. Now, here's the one thing that's important and key when you're talking about dealing with two men. It's the woman. She cannot be one who is willing to go back and jingle their bells, ruffle their feathers, put one against the other. She has to, when she is in CEO domain, move under CEO's will, COO's will. This is what we talked about. This is what we agreed upon. I'm in your space. When you are a CFO, you are in his space. When the three of you all are together, you're a community. You move like a community.
Okay. I get that.
You're a business. You move like a business. The business is most important. You put it first, which means that you're not out here in the streets wilding and acting a fool because the brand matters. You have to change your logic, change your way of thinking.
JP. I'm listening to you.
You feel me though?
I'm trying.
Like
I'm trying. I got to warm my hands up because I can't get it, but I'm trying to get it.
Don't get me like, listen, I'm just.
So
I appreciate your honesty. I want to get Liz in here to get her opinion on this too, because I think we hit a hot button for all of us. So, if you don't mind, let me get Liz in here. Liz, what do you think about what we're talking about?
And so, in other words, what my sister is saying is that everybody need to play their position. If you know what your position was or is when you came into the relationship dynamic, then you need to continue on with that. If everybody's in agreement, then there should be no arguments about who is what and what needs to be done. Everybody should know their role, and everybody should respect each other's roles.
Right. I get it.
And then it was another thing that she said about,
where's the flaw?
Huh?
Where's the flaw? If everybody knows their roles and stays inside their roles,
don't go switching it up afterwards.
I'm gonna tell y'all where the flaw is. The flaw is with the men. The men is what's gonna be the flaw at. It's not gonna. If you have a woman and two men, there's always gonna be a man that's gonna be the top dog. There's a man that's gonna want to be the top dog, and men are just naturally gonna vie for power. They just do. They just don't. One man is always gonna try to topple over the next man and try to step on that man to be the top dog.
Okay, I'm willing to give you that, but let me ask you this.
Okay.
Treating it like a business hierarchy, yes?
Okay.
At the end of the day, it's about the betterment of the business. So if y'all have to have your little battle back and forth to see who it is that reigns supreme in how the business moves, that's understandable. You do it once. If we had to have an annual event for y'all to be able to make sure everybody is in the right place they're supposed to be in, and that needs to be a part of the setup of the program. But we got a program that we are on to move this brand forward to get us to the end goal, which is retiring, sitting on our porch, smoking our glaucoma medicine, watching the world go by. Whenever that is. You feel me? Peace.
I hear you.
I'm looking for peace.
I hear you. I'm having a hard time visualizing it, but I hear you. It makes sense. It's like one of those things, like I always say, you can have a mountain of ice cream. In theory, it sounds good in theory, but in reality, it just wouldn't make any sense. And from my perspective as being a man, I'm trying to think with my open mind, how would I feel in that situation? And I know I wouldn't. I'd rather be by myself than be in that situation. That's me, because I would take that.
And that's how women feel.
I'm not saying women don't feel that way. I'm just saying, as far as men, I think it's more. I think if I was a betting man, I would bet a woman would be more open to a polyamorous situation than a man would be open to a polygyny situation. I think it would be more women will be open to it.
And I think more women would be open to it because they're desperate. A lot of women, that's why you see a lot of
Oh,
single,
no.
that's why you see a lot of single women, because they're so desperate to have a man in their life and they choose the wrong type of mate. So they may consider
See,
to be
I
they
agree.
may consider
those
being
are the wrong. I'm sorry.
they may consider being in a polyamorous or polygamous relationship for the sake of having a husband or a man in their life. Some of them may not want to do it willingly, but they're doing it because, hey, this is my chance to have somebody in my life and have a family. You know, somebody left a comment on my channel and they had, what did she say? Like in Africa, she said a lot of these women, or she said, I'm looking at my notes. I'm sorry.
No, take your time.
Where did I write it down at? Oh, let me see if I can remember off the top of my head. Basically, she's saying some of these women were culturally raised to be in a polygamous household or marriage, but a lot of them don't like it, but they do it willingly because that's part of the culture, right? They really don't want to do that, but they
Well,
do
Okay,
it
but
willingly because
we
that's, huh?
help me, JP. Help me understand. Make me understand. Because sometimes I got a screw loose. I mean, Liz tried to explain it to me. You tried to explain it to me.
I can't explain nothing. I'm
Help me. One of y'all help me
so
understand
the,
how this is a
the
good thing
people
for me.
the people that y'all are describing are the worst people to be in a polyamorous relationship
Okay.
because they dealing on emotions and feelings.
Okay.
If you move out of fear, if you move seeking the scarcity mindset, this is polyamory isn't it for you. If you're looking for love as the first thing, polyamory isn't it for you. Okay, we're talking about rational minded, being realistic. Now, I will give you that. Yes, Liz, we are living in a time where this pandemic should have shown a lot of people being by yourself is not the way to go. Okay. You may make a certain amount of money and you may think that you got it, but the moment that you end up in the hospital and your resources are depleted, who's there? Okay. So when you start to realize that that is the reality coming up for a lot of people, right? We live in a country where 48% of the country before the pandemic was at or below the poverty rate. After this time frame, you've got to assume that's gone up a couple of percentage points, right? So we need to start thinking realistically, and realistic thought about polyamory and being with another man and a woman or another, however you want to put it. Is it beneficial to you realistically? Yes, brother. Do you have to pay all them bills by yourself? No. Now there are three of you to cover it. Do you have to go out and make sure that there is food in here by yourself? No. Liz, there are now three of you. During that time frame when your emotions are low and it's dark and you can't leave the house because of what's going on out in the world, you not fighting this thing by yourself. There are three of you. If one of your other two people is not in a mental state where they can be there for you, there is still another person out there. Tell me that's not beneficial to you.
To me as a man, I mean, to me as a man, if there's nothing, let me try to get you guys to think like a man for just a minute. I want to be the only one going to the private domain. I want to be the only one. If I know that there's another guy going there, I can't put my all into the situation. I'm just not set up to do that if there's another man there. Now, if there's another female there, no, fine, no problem. Because I know she can't
Okay.
do what I can do.
So then you have your polyamory boundaries. There are boundaries for everybody, right? So you can't move in the lane that involves two men. Other people can. But the idea that it's not beneficial to you, let's talk about it again. You're not paying the bills by yourself. You're not doing it with your emotional well-being by yourself. Somebody else can see the signs before you do.
I get that. But we got off the question of whether you guys would respect the guy that's not the alpha. And how would you decide who's the alpha? because there's gonna be an alpha dog in there in that mix somewhere. How would you how would you define and who how would you say in that situation? Okay, this is the man. If I have to make a decision on whose instructions I got to follow, this is the one I'm going to follow. How would that? How would you make that determination in a polyamorous
Okay,
situation
again,
with two men
we
and a
talked
woman?
about it. The standard operating procedures for our business says this is the hierarchy. Okay, we got that part down. When it comes to dealing with you as men, as individuals, a woman, my job is to respect you as a man, period. Alpha or beta. I respect you as a man. If for no other reason, then there is a low level of violence that you are capable of that I'm not. Out the gate. We know this to be true because that's why there has to be an alpha or a beta.
Okay,
My job as a woman is to respect your masculinity and uphold it, whether you are an alpha male or a beta male. There isn't this, there doesn't have to be this conflict. Once y'all figure out which ones you're going to be up there, I respect you as men. Even before that, I respect you solely because you are a man, because you provide. And when I scream, I expect you to get up and go kill whatever it is that I'm screaming at.
okay, okay. So basically, you're saying that you respect both guys at pretty much the same level, right? But
Right.
what I'm saying to you is, if there should be coming a time where you have to get instructions from both people and you have to decide whose instructions you're going to follow, one will feel disrespected and one will feel like you respect him and the other one will feel disrespected. Now that's my point. That's my point.
Why,
And
if
that,
I'm using my discerning mind, though, I have gone to you, let's say, for example, we talked about the budget for the house, and I said that we would need $300 for this rug. Okay. You said, yeah, $300 for the rug sounds great. He said, I think we should negotiate on the rug a little bit more. And then at the end of the day, you both were like, all right, get the rug, just don't go over X amount. I can't come back to either one of y'all fussing about the dollar amount, quibbling over whatever it is at that point. We've come to an agreement. Now, if there's a situation where y'all don't come to agreement, then I am a discerning adult. At some point, I have to be able to be like, well, you know what? You said this is different from this. You said this is different from that. It neither one of them are foundational in our SOP. So I'm gonna use my discerning mind, and then I take the hit. All of us are at the C level, right? We're all C-suite. I just happen to one of you is CFO, one of you is COO. We all up here.
well, I mean, like I said, that sounds good in theory. I just don't see how it would work with two men. I a lot of times I don't see how it would work with two women, but I know that you know people are able to do different things that they may not even thought they had the power to do. Like, for example, be a step parent. Some people are built like they can be a step. They got the heart to be able to love another person's child like it's their own child. So we got ability to do different things that we, that to help move the society along. That one I've never seen it in the animal kingdom, and I've never seen it in really work in this. I've seen, like Liz was saying, asking me, have I ever seen any polyamorous situations work? I've seen some multiple women and men situations work. I have never ever seen a multiple man and woman situation work, long term or have any good effects. I've seen that work for a short time because let's be honest, people are doing that anyway. So it's not like
Mm-hmm.
like the lead attorney said, people are doing that. They're just not living in the same house, right? They're not.
Right. And
People are doing this stuff.
also, when it comes to women, a lot of the involvement with someone else is not sexual. So one of the things that you keep saying, the reason why you can't is because you're worried about somebody else going into the private domain. Well, inside of the SOP, the private domain may be just yours. Sometimes you need just one of the things that I realize is that I politics, religion, the back and forth debate, those things I enjoy thoroughly. I could spend my entire day. That's why I like being up here with y'all. And so, but my partner may not be into that. But if you can find someone who fills just that space for you, they're not doing nothing else. They're not in the private domain. They're not in the box. You ain't got to worry about that.
Okay, but why would a man sign on for something like that? Like, why would he do that?
Because it's what he needs to. Like, why do you like it? As we know, the cheating rates that are out there are darn near equal. Why? Because you need somebody to cheat with. You're finding someone to cheat with on an emotional level, a physical level. We all say all the time, I can't be your everybody. I can't be your superhero. So let's just be real about it. If you know that to be true, this is what I can be to you. This is what I can accept you finding from somebody else.
But I'm saying,
let's move like that.
Why would a man sign on to not have sex with you?
Because he might be
give up half of his money.
Who said that you have to give up half of your money? You're adding in a whole lot of new extra layers.
That's what I'm saying.
You're moving the goalposts forward. Okay, so why would he invest his money half? He doesn't have to invest half of his money. He wouldn't have to invest half of his money.
Put his money into a situation where the female is he is not having access to the female. Why would he do that? Because
he is getting that access somewhere else. He's looking for something different too. One of the things that the lead attorney also talks about is that and Kevin Samuels as well, when you are a man of high value and you are exploring your opportunities, you're looking for opportunities that also have something to lose. So that's what you're going to be dealing with in your own arena. So this man may already have someone who checks off the box, but does not check off the mental stimulation box. And investing in that.
Well, I mean, you know what? Like I said, as a man, I just don't see. You there, Liz? Oh, I thought I heard you. Yeah, as a man, I just don't see the payoff or the benefit for a man to do something like that. But hey, if you guys see it, then hey, that's all that matters. If you guys see it, but I don't see it, and I don't think that the average man would participate in something like that. He would probably just say, "I'll just go do my own thing," or "I starve on the." Before I'm going to put money into a female that I don't have access to, I put that money into myself. I think the average guy would think that way, but that's me. But I'm glad I asked you.
But you have access to or something else. I am too. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no problem, sis. I'm just I want to move the conversation along because I definitely wanted to ask Liz about her trip to Africa before she'd get off the line. Liz, you there?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
My sister. So there was one thing that you said that stood out to me about polyamorous or polygamy. And you said, if you're going to get your feelings and emotions involved, then this is not the type of relationship for you. Those two have to be completely out. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Go ahead and answer. You can respond, JP. I just wanted to make sure I caught Liz. I didn't know if she was leaving. I wanted to make sure I caught her before she was leaving.
Because I don't have the answers to this. I brought this topic up some weeks ago because I saw a video from a YouTuber who brought this conversation up specifically for African American females here in the US. And I wanted to understand, can this actually work? How can it be a healthy relationship? Because we're being conditioned under the Western standards on what marriage is based on how we was raised since we were children. So to adopt this new culture of thinking of polyamorous or polygamy, I want to further the conversation to understand, how does it work? Can it work? Can it be healthy? And the key thing that stood out to me is when you said that your feelings and emotions cannot be involved. It has to be seen as a business.
Right. Those come afterwards. Because you can grow. We all know this. When you spend enough time hanging out with a friend of the opposite sex, if that's what you're attracted to, over time you can grow feelings, emotions, attachments to that person. So you have to ground yourself, what square you stand on, in other things first. Be realistic about your other things first. And then once your emotions are gonna come, you deal with them separately. And if you're dealing in the situations that are realistic to the world now are situations where you're dealing with a side piece or whatever. So you have to teach them to understand that at the end of the day, everybody is expendable. Everybody is replaceable, and move accordingly. If you catch feelings, and we've talked about it, and you can't put it into a box of understanding because the grass always looks greener on the other side. You have to address those feelings when they come up. Yeah, after a certain amount of time of knowing you for so long, I'm comfortable with you. I'm familiar with you. I know what your favorite perfume is. I know that you always like to put your hand on the left side of your face when you're contemplating or deep in thought because I spent enough time with you. But that's growth. That's development. That's not the romantic love that marriages are starting from today that tend to fail today. The same thing that I'm saying you can use in a heterosexual monogamous relationship because you're talking about being realistic about the base needs, the things that you actually have to function, and then emotions and feelings.
You know what, ladies, you guys, man, you guys taught me a lot because I never looked at it that way, but I guess I mean, I think polyamorous does have some. It has its benefits, especially on the economic side, and in the social side. As as you becoming a group and a little community, I guess it does have its positives in that area. But like you guys were saying, it's something that you got to have ironed out in the beginning, and then you also got to have a situation where, hey, if somebody catches feelings, this is how we're going to act, and this is how we're going to
Yeah,
proceed from there. um
yeah.
any what I would like to do now, and JP, you're welcome to stay on with us if you want to. Liz has a story that I like her to tell a little bit of what she can of the story, because it's a very interesting story, and I wanted to get into it, and so she's only going to answer what she can, so that's okay. Well, we just want to find out. Liz is moving to Africa. She's moving to Africa, so I would thought it was very interesting to find out what goes through the mind of a person that decides they're gonna. When did you decide you were gonna move to Africa? What made you decide you were gonna move to Africa? Like, what was the thing that pushed you over the edge? And so we're gonna change topics real quick. We may get back to the polygamy thing, but I want to definitely get this out there because I think this is interesting for us as African American people. We need to hear about somebody that's doing something like this and why they would do it. So, Liz, if you could
That's
explain that to us. Oh, go ahead, sis. I'm
Can I
sorry.
just jump in real quick?
Yes, ma'am.
Liz, I definitely want to hear why you're going to Africa and the whole thing. Can you put your link to your YouTube in the chat so that I can go ahead and subscribe? I
Yeah,
want to
Liz,
know.
put the link
I'm
to the chat.
45 years old and disabled now, so I sit on my porch and drop my pearls, but I want to live vicariously through you too.
All right.
I'll put it
All
in the
right.
chat. And he put me on the spot because I sent him a text because I do have an appointment that I
Oh,
need
you
to
do?
go.
Oh, you have an appointment? Oh, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Liz. I didn't see that.
I'm
I didn't
actually
see that. Let me
already
look at it.
late.
Let me see. Oh, I see it in the private chat. Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Handle your business. Handle your business. I finish it up from here. Thank you so much, Liz. I know and I know you had a lot to do. Maybe I can get you on another live stream. Please, please.
Yeah, we can do a part two.
Yeah, we do a
Yeah,
part two.
definitely we can do a part
We
two
do-
on
we-
my journey to Africa or any other topic
Okay.
that's out
Okay.
there.
Okay.
But yeah, I just wanted to get an understanding about the whole polygamy, polyamorous, because I don't know. I didn't grow up in that type of culture, and a lot of us didn't. So I feel like that if we're going to introduce that to Black Americans, it has to start when you're young, because a lot of us is not going to agree to it because we wasn't raised that way. We wasn't brought up that
Mhm.
way. But it's a excellent topic to bring up. However, it would be nice to see a healthy example of that for us to
Yeah.
understand how the dynamics of that works. That's all I'm saying. And also being up and being honest and upfront with the partner that you with. And I got you,
Yeah.
Miss JP. You said do no emotions involved, see it as a business, and later on your the
Yes.
emotions and the love will grow, I guess, throughout the relationship. So I'm learning too. I don't know
That's
about this.
that's monogamy or polyamory. If you put your real needs before all of your heart fluttery feelings, you will get so much further. It's just
I wish we can see more examples of that somewhere on television, on YouTube, somewhere where we can be educated more on that, because a lot of us don't know that. And before I go, I also brought up about the Western or European standards. What we know is based off what we grew up, how we grew up under the Western standards. Because in Africa or parts in Africa, they see polygamy as the way that the black family dynamic is supposed to be. But if we
mhm.
all we know is the Western standards, that's all we know. And all of us are not
Yeah.
Muslims, like you said. In the Muslim culture, you guys had that growing up. You were taught that growing up, so you had a better understanding of that. A lot of us don't have an understanding of that. So
All right. Well, hey,
I
Liz, I thank
actually
you.
go ahead.
I thank you for coming on. I know you got to go, so and I appreciate you for hanging out with us as long as you could. So appreciate you, girl, and good luck on everything. And I'm definitely I'm definitely gonna make part two happen. All right.
all right, it's
Again,
great
Liz,
chatting with you.
Liz, before you go, Liz, put your link in the description. If not, I'll do it later. But
I'll put it in there.
okay, okay, right on. Okay, all right. Thanks, sis. Appreciate you. See you later.
Thank you.
All right, all right. You stuck with me now, JP. Now we can really get the gloves off because Liz is gone now. Because I want to ask her about that. But okay,
All
so
right.
can we finish our polygamous conversation? You got a minute?
Yes,
Okay,
we can.
okay. Let's finish our polygamous conversation. Now, we were talking about two men and two women. I mean, it's two men and a woman. So that's what we
Yes.
let's finish that situation. Now,
Okay.
is there a situation where you think a woman and a man will be together and the woman will say, you know what? I know a man that will be down with us coming into this family with us. I know there's somebody that will be down with coming in. I know this guy. Let's go talk to him. Do you think there's a man that would be like, oh yeah, okay, let us bring him in?
Yes. I believe that if you all are comfortable, you hold on now. We got to talk about a real world, comfortable, communicative relationship, right?
Yeah.
We're not talking about the nonsensory and the flowers and butterflies in your stomach, folks.
Yeah.
We're talking about, baby, we've been in this game for 10 years already. I love you to pieces, but whoo, it might be, things is a little shaky. So what can we do? Yeah, I feel like the right brother after, if y'all have been doing this for a while and having real open communication, then yeah, I think that he'd be willing to hear you out and maybe meet the dude.
But why? Why
But
would a
I
guy?
also feel like that,
Why
why
would a
would a
guy
guy
be?
what?
Why would a man be interested in something like that? See, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out why would a man be interested in saying, you know
You're
what,
saying
let's bring another man into the situation. Why would a man be interested in that?
you're
Like,
saying a
what would get
scenario
him?
that, okay, so um say for instance my husband is disabled.
Okay,
There are certain things that he cannot do,
okay,
you know and we'll use things that aren't sexual, so
okay,
let's say he's a paraplegic, can't
okay,
lift certain things, move certain things, heavy such and so forth. Okay, instead of us having to continuously pay such and such to do this thing, or me having to continuously struggle and strain myself to get it done, let's think about James. You know, James is living over there by himself. Don't nobody, he trying to keep himself fed. He ain't doing a good job of that. he's an upstanding black man. You know, this could be a beneficial situation for all of us. Does he have to move into the house? Nah. Does it have to be on that level? Again, no. We're talking about James providing for us basic needs and assistance.
Okay, what does James get out of it?
James could move into the house, thus reducing the amount of bills that James has to pay for. We got this extra room back here. Put James in the room back there.
Okay, so
help us invest in James in his business.
Okay, so James is going to be just a roommate. See, that's different from a polygyny situation. James is just going to be.
No, he's still a part of our relationship. He's still a part of our relationship. I'm still going to give him comfort, care, and support.
He's going to be a physical part. He's going to have physical access to the female.
Yes, but not interest, if that makes sense.
Okay, but that's probably what he's going to want the most. So, how is it?
But is it? I don't believe that is what he's gonna want the most. That's not what we're all looking for or needing in that life, right? And then I don't think that takes away from it being a relationship, because your relationship is built on providing, protecting, preaching, and one of that I can't forget right now. James still leads in his own way. James still provides in his own way. James still protects. He's still all of those things.
But he doesn't have alpha access. Okay.
He could. And here's the other thing. The reason that I'm not saying that sex doesn't have to be involved. What I don't want is I didn't want it to be a disabled and sex be the problem with the disability. Do you understand?
No. I'm just trying to keep it realistic. Okay. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to keep it realistic.
So realistically, yes, you're going to have to come up with an understanding that if that's what y'all do, there's going to be sex on all sides. But again, how much, what you know, what you don't know, what there's access to, those are the things that you communicate and talk about. The relationship and the sex that I give to you is not the same relationship and sex that I give to James, which means that it's the same for you. You're not giving the same thing to everybody that you're with.
But from a man's perspective, I don't even want the same thing that another man's getting. If this man is getting what you're giving him, I want something on a whole nother level. And that's how most men are going to think. See, this is why I say I don't think that's going to work with two men in the house unless it's the two special kind of guys. Now, I will say this. I should have said this when I was talking to Liz as well, when Liz was on as well. I have seen, I've seen Rastafarian type people that will live like everybody, everything is everything. Like 3 women, 4 men, and everything is everything. I have seen that happen. Right. But I've never seen it last. I see, one person pops in, one person pops out, one person's in, one person out. Yeah, I've seen that happen like that. I just don't see how you as a female, if you have a man already and you guys have been through ups and downs, wars and stuff, and then you say, hey, baby, you know what? Since you got that bad leg, let's try and get somebody else over here that can help us, and let's just do it mathematically, right? And then you bring me in, and then how are you going to respect me as much as you respect him? You've been through all the wars with him. You haven't been through no wars with me. So how are you going to respect me at the same level? That's
our relationship is different. But why are you comparing your relationship with me to my relationship with him? You and I are different. You and I are new. You and I have just this.
But that's how men are. They're very competitive. They compete for everything. So men don't even try to be competitive like that. They just, if another man walks into the room, they're gonna automatically, if you have a woman in a room and one man walks in, he's gonna automatically think, I'm the man in here. If another man walks in right behind him, they're gonna start competing for that female, non-verbally competing for that female. This is
I
what I'm
am
saying.
expecting that. And well, yeah. And so what I'm expecting that, and what I'm hearing and not getting is, um, Black men have the ability to discipline themselves. To I made this choice and this decision, so I have to move in this way. I have to. I had to. If I make the decision to be in a polyamorous relationship, I have to make a choice to move a certain way. I have to make a choice to respect every Black man that I see every day. Because the truth of the matter, it's not natural, right? Let's be honest. It's not actually natural to be nice to everybody that you see. You have to make a
Right.
conscious effort when you step outside of your house to say, hey, how are you doing today? And do it with a smile on your face. If I can make the conscious decision to do that, I am expecting the two men who are going to be involved in my business and following the standard operating procedure to know how to do the same. If you make a choice, stand on your choice, stand on your square, which is why I say if you move on emotion, then polyamory is not for you.
Yeah, I mean, if you move on emotion, most monogamy is not for you because you're going to be in and out, up
Exactly.
and down, in and out. Okay, I just see my major problem with the polygyny, which is two men and one female. My major problem with that is I don't see how the woman is going to respect the one that's not the alpha male. I cannot get someone to explain how that is going to work in a realistic situation. Like what you're saying, yeah, it makes sense. Well, economically, we'll share in the economics and we'll share in this and that, and that's fine. But realistically, I know men and I know Black men, and I'm trying to figure out how are you going to show the beta male, because somebody has to be on top and somebody has to be not on top. So how are you going to show this? How are you going to show this man the same respect you show this man? And if this man sees you not respecting him as much as this man, why is he going to want to continue in a situation where he knows he's coming last? Why would he do? Why would
Okay,
he
but
do something like that?
let okay. So my question then is, um, when you're in business, if you're not in a leadership position, but you're on your way to a leadership position, that doesn't make you less alpha, right? If you're starting out, you're somewhere in your climb to leadership status, right?
Okay, but see, that's a difference. That's a
No, no,
totally
no.
different world.
But it's not because as a man, you are coming into your alpha status. You two men. Here's what I'm saying as a woman, right? You two men are gonna go at it. Y'all are gonna go at it, butt heads, and figure out who's the dominant one.
Yes,
Okay. Once you
yes.
figured out who the dominant person is, that doesn't make the other one less of an alpha. He wasn't strong in this go round in this battle.
Okay, all right.
Like I said, y'all may have to go through this again at some point, but we sit down and we work it out, right? So for like two dudes in the street fighting, young dudes, you don't want them to pick up a gun, you want them to go hand to hand combat. When it's over, you want them to part ways and still respect each other. Yeah, same thing here.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. You're making analogies that don't that are not equating to the seriousness of being in being with a woman. Like in a business situation, yeah, you're in a business situation. This is not my company, but you're my woman. See, this is not my company, but if I at my house, this is my house. That this is my company here. But so in a business situation is different than my home situation. This is my woman. Now I got to say, okay, you my woman, but I need you now, but this man needs you. Something may have happened, but it's his turn to need you. So now he got to take you. How's that going to work for
This
me?
is just,
You see what I'm saying? I mean,
that
that's a
happens
real
though, but that
situation with
happens
men.
anyway, right? That happens anyway, right? Whether
You
there's
can deal
another
with it.
person there, there's someone who's pulling me away from your time.
You can deal with it if you don't see it and know it. See, you can deal with it better if you don't see it and know it. If I don't see it and know it, I don't know that's going on like that. I think you
So
telling me
okay,
you're at work or whatever. You telling me you're with your friend or whatever. And I don't know it. Okay, well then I can't get upset for something I don't know. But once I know, hey, it's his night, but I got a serious problem. How you gonna go be with him when it's my night? Or I mean, how you gonna be with
if
him
you got a
when I got a
serious
problem?
problem,
Yeah, I got a
if you got a
serious
serious
problem.
problem and we work that out, no, this that's realistic. If you got a serious problem, hey, listen, I know I'm supposed to be spending time with you right now, but this came up. This is an actual crisis, an actual problem. I got to go deal with that. We can reschedule later on. Y'all can switch up days. But let's be real. It's not like these things don't already happen. And more to the point, all you're really telling me is we can sit down and write out the contract right now, and then all you need is for me never to tell you the day that the things happen. You know the contract is there. You know you signed the contract, but you just don't want it in your face all the time.
Well, JP, I mean, I don't think that any man would sign that contract. That's me. But I'm saying even if they did sign that contract, I think they would quickly see that it's a losing battle for them, and to be in something like that. I think they would be better served, just being on their own, being a lone wolf, as opposed to being involved in something like that. For most men, now let me qualify with that. There might be some exceptions to that rule that may make sense. You know what I mean? There may be some guys that it may make sense to do something like that. But I think the average guy is going to say, I am not going to share my woman with anybody else. I think the average guy feels that way. I mean, most guys.
In no way is polyamory something that most of us can do.
But I'm saying you're right, but there's some people that are exceptions to the rule. Like, for example, we're talking about two men and a woman. There's some exceptions to the rule. There's some guys that they'll be like, oh yeah, I can do that, right? But I guess until they get their feet in the fire, and then they'll find out whether they can actually do that or not. But let's move on to this. Let me ask you something else, because we agree to disagree.
Okay.
How about this? You never asked this question, but I got an idea of your answer, but you never directly answered this question. Could you consider being in a polygamous relationship with another woman and a man?
Yes. Give me 30 seconds. I got to turn off my camera and my mic while I switch. So give me just 30 seconds.
Okay. Handle your business. So here we're talking about polyamorous relationships between black women, okay, and black women and black men. Now, they were trying to tell me, there's a way that two black men are going to be. I said there's no way. And if any one of you guys want to come up here, let me put the link up here. You want to come up here and explain to me how you're going to be able to respect a man. You're going to be able to respect a man that is the beta situation. You're going to have an alpha dog. If you have one woman and two men, you're going to have an alpha dog. You have one dog that's on the top, and you're going to have one dog that's on the bottom. You mean you're going to tell me you're going to respect the man that's on the bottom the same way you're going to respect the man at the top, and you think the man on the bottom is not going to know that he's not being respected like the man at the top, and then he's going to stay in that situation? That's why I don't think that will work. So we even got to this point because they asked me, do you think that that would work? And I said, no, it won't work because of that fact. Just because of that factor alone, let alone the sexual intimacy, let alone that, but just the factor of the respect that the man is going to get at the bottom is not going to be like the man at the top. I don't see how he's going to stay in there. But back to you, JP, what do you think about? You said you would consider being in a polygamous relationship, and why would you consider it?
Okay. First, let me just say this. Yes, I would be in a polygamous relationship. But I want to go back and say, I don't look at the man who's not the alpha in the moment as being wounded or beaten to the point of being a beta. And I think maybe that's part of it. But would I consider a polygamous relationship or a polyamory? Yeah. The workload is hard, especially if I was back in my 20s again, dealing with 3 little dudes running around underfoot. If I had a sister for support, somebody else to pick up some of the homework sometimes, or just to get one of the early hours when I started doing my business, that kind of thing, I would have loved someone around then. So yeah, there's certainly opportunities, times
JP,
when I think it would be beneficial.
JP, give me a minute. Let me go through some of these chats. Here, see, Daniel Madden says, as my wife Glenda Shivers said, you are just roommates. Ay. Shan Coleman says, the only way to get a man to sign on is to emphasize the family brand. No, that will not get Sharon. Sharon, you got to put the link out there. Come on and explain that to me, because that's not going to get a man to sign on. No man is going to sign on because of the brand, the family brand, to be the beta male relationship, in my opinion. Daniel Mann Jr. says, I'm a businessman, so nobody ever signs a losing contract with exculpatory clauses. Fact. Thank you, Mr. Madden Jr. Please. I thought I was out here by myself. Thank you, sir. Uh, Sharon Coleman says, it must be about survival. Okay, but men don't need to get into a polygynous situation for survival. That is the difference. That is the situation. So I guess we're getting real now, right? I guess we're getting real. Think about that,
Okay.
JP. Do men need to get?
It is about.
Do men need to get into a polygynous situation for survival?
Do men need to get into a polygynous
Yes,
situation
like a lot
for
of times, like you guys
survival?
were describing, that women sometimes will get into a polygynous situation because of their circumstances. I'm asking, do men ever get into a circumstance where they say, you know what, I can get into a polygynous situation where 2 men and 1 woman situation, and that's going to be beneficial for my survival?
I mean, that's certainly probably going to be the biggest benefit for a man to do it over anything else. At the end of the day, it's about survival or moving up. Financially
How?
speaking, not having to do it.
How is it benefit his survival?
Financially speaking, not having to do it alone, not having to be homeless, not having to feed yourself. Unfortunately, again, like I said, a lot of our men today have been raised without the ability to take care of their basic need, because their mothers are out here either uh, working 2, 3 jobs to take care of the whole brood or whatever the case may be. So there are the same reason that it would be beneficial for a man to have roommates while he's trying to get his shit together is the
Yeah,
same
well,
is a good reason.
roommates is one thing. Roommates is one thing. I give you that. Roommates is one thing, but I'm not trying to have sex with none of my roommates. See, when a
Yes,
man,
but how much sex are you trying to have when you on your grind? When you are about your purpose and you are pushing every day? Let's just talk about it, Clarence. How much time do you really spend hunting for sex if you own your drive, your hustle?
well, but see, men spend all their time. That's whole reason why they hustling. So they spending all their time to try to hustle to get the sex. And then when they can't get sex, I'm just saying that's a major motivator for men. So they're that's what they're going to think about seriously before they get involved in something like that.
Can you still hear me? My sound went out.
Oh yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Hold on, I might have to leave and come back.
Okay, go ahead. You got to do what you got to do, sis. Go ahead. I appreciate you, the time you did spend with me. Appreciate you. And if you got to go, just let me know. All right, sister had to go. What do y'all think? Am I talking crazy? I'm sitting here telling these people, man, hey, there ain't no man gonna do that. And if a man does do that, ain't no woman really gonna respect him. Okay, JP is back in the house. Let me add it to the stream. You back, JP? Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay.
I can hear you fine. Okay, so
go back to what you were saying. I'm sorry.
Okay, so we were just talking about how we got to the point where we were talking about how men getting the whole point of the respect of the man doing something like this. And does a man need to do this for survival? Like we talked about how sometimes a woman will be in a situation, a financial situation or some other kind of circumstance where this will make a lot of sense for her to be, wife number 2 or number 3. But would a man ever get in a position where it would make sense for him to be husband number 2 or husband number 3?
From a financial perspective, I don't know if I would say husband number 2 or 3, partner number 2 or 3. Yeah, and I say that because I feel like the man, the reason that it would be beneficial for him is because it gives him an opportunity to get on his feet, to get a foundation back underneath him, and that may he may decide from there that, you know, if that's what y'all know going in, he may either bring his own partner into it or decide, you know, we've agreed to this and it's time for me to move on. But again, it's an agreement y'all gotta have.
Okay, let me read this. Let me read this. Let me read this chat. I think this from Sharon Coleman. I think the top man might be mad at the woman for giving the bottom man too much love. Laugh out loud. I agree. You know what I mean? Because men are jealous and men are territorial, and men don't look at geography as the only places to be territorial. They look at women as territorial, so as territory. And when you have two men over the same territory, it's gonna be a serious situation at some point.
Yeah.
At some point, things may go wrong. So that's why
Like
I say
said,
that's
it
why
takes a special set of people
exactly
to do any of it. To be a woman in it or a man, it takes a special set of people.
exactly, and but especially men, because and if there's a man out there that says, hey, you know what, I'm doing it now and it's working out great, then hey, show it to me. But I don't think that most men will be able to do it. Hold on, let me read this comment here. Daniel Madden Jr. I know a situation where a business partner and husband lived in the same house, then crashed and burned. Exactly. See, at some point, there's always movement. There's an alpha. You got your alpha male and you got your beta male, but your beta male is always going to be vying for power. He's always going to be trying to get to that alpha stage. And wherever thing he can dismantle the alpha, he'll try to get there. That's just how men are wired to do.
I
Anyway,
agree. And a woman in that situation has to know and understand that and move accordingly. She cannot be, you know, like your kid running back and playing one man against the other man. She has to play a role, treating them equally, respectfully. Like I said, it's about decisions and choices at the end of the day. You can't do anything until you stand on what you choose.
but how can you treat both of them equally? How?
They get the same level of respect and love, but they get it in different ways because that's what we do all the time. You love your mother and father equally, you respect them equally, but how you show them that love and respect is different. Yeah, you have your children, people in your lives you love and respect, but you show them in different ways. It's the same thing here.
I beg to differ because children they show their mother much more love than they show the father. The father doesn't get shown a lot of love. He might get some later in life, but at the time right then raising them, the father most of the time doesn't get as much love as the mother. Especially
It's
from the
all
boys,
about what you're teaching in that home.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter what you're teaching. It just, I mean, a lot of times boys are just more drawn to the mother because the mother's much more easier to get along with than the father is. So
but if the mother is demonstrating love and return to the father, she is showing and setting the example of how you express and show love to him while he's here. Give him his flowers before you 25 and are in the same situation that he was in. Then yeah, a father can receive that love and respect earlier. We have to be putting these things in there.
I'm saying, yeah, I agree with that. I'm just saying that if you push hard on your sons, and especially the sons, if you push hard on them, a lot of times they're going to appreciate the mother more because she's more pliant to what their desires, whereas the father is like, nope, you didn't sweep the yard, no, you can't go play, no, sweep that yard. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying that part of it. But like I said, I don't see how a woman especially a woman that has love. Now, maybe if she don't love either guy, maybe she could treat him the same. Let's say you love both men. If you love both men, how can you treat both men the same? Right? I mean, you can't treat both men the same. I'm talking about in a romantic sense. You can treat your father and your brother the same, yeah, because they're, you know what I mean, you're biologically related to them. But I'm talking about in a romantic sense. I think most women are cut out to move toward the alpha dog. That's the person they're going to get most of their attention and most of their everything they have to put in the relationship. Now, beta may be bringing something to the table. He may be bringing sex, he may be bringing money, he may be bringing he may be just a shoulder to cry on. But he's not going to get everything that the alpha dog is getting, because the alpha dog is the alpha dog. Typically. So that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. How do you feel? How do you feel about, put like this? How do you feel about, let's say you had two husbands. Let's say not two husbands, but two partners. Let's say you bring a third partner in. A third man came in because of the same situation. It just made more economic sense for everyone for this person to come in. And we already got a track record of doing this, and we were kind of successful. So let's bring this other person in. Now we got three people in the situation. How would you run that game?
Okay, so first of all, we're growing towards something. So let's be clear about it. Marriage, relation, because when people talk about marriage and love and relationships, it's just about the marriage part, getting there. And then they don't think about all of the other things. When you get married, you're growing towards something still, right? So if we're bringing in a third person, it's because we realize that in order to get to wherever it is we're going, say it's owning our fifth multi-apartment building, right?
Okay.
And we need whatever it is, and this third person can accomplish that.
Okay.
So we've got to establish what we're bringing them in for, where their lane is, what their role is, what they're going to be. When it comes to the hierarchy, they'll still be a C-level such and such, but they're a C-level such and such who just came to the business. So you have to understand where your voice has power. You got a seat at the table, you have a voice at the table, but your voice doesn't automatically rise to 25% out the gate. But when it comes to respect, I feel as though it's all about, when you look in my eyes, what level of respect do you see? When I move towards you as a man, what level of respect do you receive? If I don't call alpha male a punk B, I had better not call beta male or Charlie male a punk B. That's respect. That's having a level and giving it equally to everybody.
I mean, yeah, you can be. I'm not saying you can't be. You can't be amicable to everybody. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there's gonna be a pecking order, and everybody's gonna be mad that they're not at the top of the pecking order. And so that's gonna be something that you're gonna have to deal with as a female in that situation. Whereas I think
you're at the top of
go ahead.
You're at the top of your pecking order, right? If you are a COO, there is a pecking order for COOs. You're at the top of it. There's a CFO, there's a pecking order. You're at the top of it. You're not in competition. And that's the problem that we have as a people. We not only look at, folks out in the world as our competition, we look at each other as competition. Our partner, our mate right next to us is competition. And we're not.
But that's just how men are. Men are competitive like that. They have a natural competitive streak in them. That's my point. If two men, if one man walk into a room and there's a candy bar sitting on the table, another man walks into the room and the candy bar is still sitting on the table, and both of them like that candy bar, they're going to try to figure out what they're going to do, how they're going to compete to get that candy bar. It's just natural for men. They naturally going to try to compete with each other to be the one on the top to get all the whatever it is left on the table. So what I'm
Right, but
saying,
you keep saying natural. When do we start to move away from natural to thinking beings and putting that, the one thing that makes us different from the base animals that we are equating ourselves to for this conversation? When are we going to put that brain into action and start using it for realistically? And if we can do that, then you can say, I have chosen to be in this position. My competition is not the man next to me, but how far can I get? My competition is myself. She don't. If you think that I don't respect you because of X, baby, work on you. That's it. That's what we find attractive. Now you're going out here and fighting every other dog. It's you getting your bag, getting to your next best level.
But I'm saying I get that. But I'm saying the average man is going to say, well, why am I in this situation at all? Why do I need to be in this situation at all? I can go get my bag by myself. Why do I need to be in a situation where I'm receiving disrespect when I can go get my bag by myself? I can go do this by myself. I don't need to be in a situation where I'm constantly reminded that I'm not the top dog in this situation. Why do I need to do that? I can be by myself and be the top dog, and I don't have to worry about somebody telling me. I don't have to worry about somebody saying, oh, baby, by the way, tonight is Wednesday, so I got somewhere. I got something I got to do. I got to do that thing I got to do. Why do I have to listen to that? I know where you're going, so why do I have to sit and participate in that when I could be by myself and save my money for myself? See what I'm saying? That's how most men think. But they don't, and so you're saying, and I hear what you're saying. Hey, when are we gonna get off of being an animal? Well, we're not gonna get off of being an animal. The whole world was built by these men, and men built it off of being animals, and that's the whole point of sex. Sex is the driving thing of almost everything, and sex is about dominance.
In your hierarchy of needs, sex doesn't rank in the top 3.
Says who? Says who? It's not in
that. Says your survival.
Well, to put it like this,
no,
you're right.
And you're just right.
You're right.
We put the emphasis on sex.
Well,
we drive the nail home on sex.
Hold on. Let me explain. Let me explain. It does. You don't need to have sex to survive. That's the truth. But it is a strong desire. It's a strong desire, and so it's one of the desires that drives men to do things. It's the baseline for why so many things were invented. It's the baseline for why so many things were the electric engine, all these different things were put together because the baseline is I want to be respected enough to where the person wants to have sex with me. See, that's the baseline of almost everything. It's the baseline. Once you get your needs, yes, because once you get your needs met, once all of your needs are met, the next thing on the list is reproduction. Once all of you can eat, you can sleep, you have food, you have shelter. The next thing on your list is reproduction. Almost any animal is the same way. The next thing on the list is reproduction. So reproduction is always in the minds of the men. It's always in I'm trying to reproduce myself. Well, how can I reproduce myself? I got to get a woman. Well, how can I get a woman? Well, I got to do something that's substantial. Well, how can I do something substantial? I got to go to school. Well, how can I go to school? I got to go to college. Or how can I go to college? I got to get good grades. Or how can I get good grades? I got to study. See what I'm saying? Everything is based, pushing reproduction is the baseline behind everything. For men, I don't know about women, but for men, that's what we're trying to reproduce with the best female available that we can get our hands on. That's what we're trying to do. So we're trying to prepare for that moment. But let me read some of these chats real quick because I know you got something good for me, JP. So hold on. Let me read some of these chats. Let's see. Damali Society says the ego will check in with men regularly. Yeah, men have ego trips all the time. So that polygamy situation is going to be a real tough situation. The Mali Society says, again, as a woman, your femininity will check in and you will treat each man differently in due time. Trust. I see that, and I understand. See, that's what I'm saying. That's the reality of the situation I'm saying. Eventually, as a woman, you're going to be like, okay, you're the top dog. No, this man told me to come. I can't come to you tonight because I got this man to deal with. Anyway, Damali, again, everything is not about running a business, sis. See, the men are looking at it like are telling you, hey, this is how we look at it, like this.
I find it absolutely phenomenal that the men are stuck more on emotion and feeling than the chick, and talking about ration and logic. It is insane.
Well, ration and logic, ration and logic, they come into existence after reproduction. If you got your reproductive needs met, then you can be rational. But men that are looking to reproduce are not rational, right? A man standing in front of an ATM at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to pull $300 out of the ATM machine, that's not rational, right? You're not thinking rationally when you think like that. A man in a strip club that's pulling $1,000 out of the ATM to throw it up in the air for some chick that he never met before that's been grinding on 15 other dudes the whole night, that ain't rational, right? But their reproductive needs haven't been met, so they're crazy right now. Once their reproductive needs are met, then they're going to be rational. They're going to be able to think. They're going to have that after orgasm understanding, and then they're going to be more able to think. And they may consider what you're talking about. I just think most men, even if it ain't about sex, just the respect level, just the fact that they're going to be a second class citizen. Why would they walk into doing something like that? They just more would. I would need to hear something that would sell it a little better than, you could save some money, because I know that will work with some people, like you said, in a disabled situation, that makes sense, right? And if another guy, he's disabled, hey, let's all get together. We can all work together. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense in that situation. I'm talking about the average guy out there that ain't disabled.
Being realistic with talking about average folks, I don't think that polyamory is made for average. Like I said, you can't move based on emotions. And people out here looking for love, which is how they look at marriage, are moving based on emotion, and that's why you see so many train wreck marriages. So,
yeah, you're right. I agree with you. With that. Well, JP, I appreciate you coming on. I'm gonna let you go because I don't know I had you for so long, and I appreciate you being on with me and fighting with me. You come on anytime, okay? We're gonna try to do this every week.
Thank you for letting me chat.
Oh no, man, you made the show. I appreciate you here. All right, so
I appreciate you. Go over to my page and drop a theme song every now and then for me.
Put your page down in the huh?
I will. It's JP the Aspiring Matriarch, and right now I'm just posting theme songs every day. But check it out.
Okay, go ahead down there, put it in there, and put it in the comments, and so people can know to go by there. Okay.
Will do. Thank you. Y'all have a good night. Appreciate y'all.
All right, take care. All right, that was JP. Man, she's dynamite. She's dynamite. Let me catch up with these comments real quick. Damali Society, real talk. Al Ini, my king, Daniel Madden Jr. and I are exclusive. Right on, good for y'all. Let's go down the line here. True, but you cannot love two men at the same time. I think you can, you just can't love them the same way. You can love two men at the same time, you just can't love them the same way. I think an average woman is going to love one man one way and one man another way and treat him another way. You see Adam and Eve, when she ran into the alpha male, she listened to the alpha male and she didn't listen to the beta male, which was Adam. She considered, once she ran it, she thought Adam was the alpha male till she ran into another alpha male, and then she considered the devil the alpha male and Adam the beta male. And of course, she listened to the devil, and that's why things went haywire. Let's move on. Daniel Madden Jr. says a lion is king of his pride and has dominance over the pride. He eats first and will run his own male cubs away or kill them if they won't leave. There can only be one alpha in any kingdom. Yeah, man, I was trying to get her to see that, man. She was just not having it, you know what I mean? I said, poor JP, man, God bless her. She just wasn't able to see it. she was looking at it through those woman glasses, man, and she just could not see it. That why would a man step into a situation where he is instantly a second-class citizen? Why would he do something like that? That just don't make no sense to me. Why they would do something like that? But hey, man, we'll see. Maybe somebody will come on next week and explain it to us that make it make sense, Mr. Madden, because I just it don't make no sense to us regular cats. Damali Society, once again, number one, women are more emotional than men. Number two, masculine men look for respect, and the key to that is through bringing in money. Yeah, a lot of men do look for respect. You know what I mean? Because man, anybody can get a woman's body, but it's very hard to get a woman's respect and keep it. And so, that's what that's what real men are looking for. They're looking for the respect. Because once you have the respect, you have the body. You have everything else when you have the respect. Because a woman that respects you is not going to give her body to nobody else. She's not going to give her money to nobody else. She's not going to give her time to nobody else. But if she loves you, but she don't respect you, she'll give her money or body or anything else to anybody else. But she'll tell you in a minute, I love you. So you young guys out there, man, what you want is the respect of a woman. You don't want her love alone. You want her love as it comes with the respect. Or when her love comes with respect, then you got something. But if her love comes with just love and she don't respect you and she do little things to show you that she don't respect you, like you give her a task and she don't complete that task on time, or she don't complete the task, add that stuff up, because what she's showing you is that, hey, you're not the man she's looking for. She's telling you that. If she thought you was something, she would complete the task that you gave her. Anyway, let's move on. Sharon Coleman. Two kings might be hard on that one woman. Yeah, man. Yeah, see, you don't know, man. Especially two regular guys that want to have sex in regular intervals. Man, that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough. And somebody is gonna want to be the big dog. Somebody's gonna want to be the big dog. And who's gonna be the big dog? And who you gonna listen to? You get an instruction on this side, and you get an instruction on this side. Who are you gonna listen to? How you gonna determine who gets the big piece of chicken? When you sit down that's what I should have asked her. Man, y'all reminded me, man. I should have asked both of them. If you sit down at the table, everybody's sitting down at the table like she's got to have it. Who gets the big piece of chicken? How do you determine who gets the big piece of chicken? There's a movie called, Spike Lee made a movie called She's Gotta Have It. In this movie, the primary character, she invites all three of the men she's messing with to come over her house for Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner or whatever, right? She invites everybody over for dinner. And they're all sitting there like idiots at the table. One dude, the preacher, is livid. He is livid because he was like, what is going on here? I want this woman. And then he gets mad because he thinks the pretty boy is really hitting it hard. And then here comes Marge Blackman, who ain't trying to do nothing but just have sex with her. He's like, shit, I'll wash the dishes. Whatever. I'll do it. Whatever. He don't care nothing about nothing. And the preacher is livid. The pretty boy's like, I'll take her, leave her, whatever. Y'all gotta go check that movie out. She's Gotta Have It by Spike Lee. Talks about this same topic we're talking about right now. Let's go to the next. Comment here. Sharon Coleman. Our bodies aren't made for that. Yeah, your bodies aren't made for that. You know what I'm saying? Let me give you a biological situation why your body ain't made for that. Let's say you have sex with two men within a 7-day interval. Okay, you have sperm for the first man, which is giving your body instructions. Then you have sperm from the second man giving your body instructions. That is called confusion. When you have two different sets of instructions coming at the same time, that's confusion. How is your body going to handle those different sets of instructions? You don't realize that's why you got all these headaches. That's why you got headaches, because you got all these instructions coming to you from different men, because you have sex with these different men in too short of an interval. Let me tell you something, women. before you have sex with any other man, you ain't married to these men. First of all, I wouldn't be out there having just intermediate sex. I know most of you men, women are not trying to do that, so I'm not trying to put that on you. But I'm saying you are out here having sex. If you're having sex with different partners, you should be having a cleanse after every partner. You should cleanse yourself after every partner. You shouldn't be having sex with different partners and not doing a complete body cleanse before you go have sex with another partner. That's what you should do. I know, man, nobody wants to listen to me, but that's the reality of that. Your bodies aren't made for that. I agree with you, Sister Sharon. Thank you for that. Glenda Shivers, in the words of Erykah Badu, I know I'm a lot of woman, but not enough to divide the pie. No, you're not. You're not. You're just going to drive two men crazy and they're going to end up killing each other, really. That's what's going to really happen. You're going to have two men, they're going to end up putting a gun on each other and killing each other. And it's just going to be it's going to be a hot mess. It's going to be a hot mess. So, I say that is not something to push. I wouldn't even push two women and a man, because most men can't even handle one woman. So I haven't seen some dudes are very exceptional that can love two women and have everybody feeling in a good place. But the average man can't. But especially one woman, two men, that ain't never gonna work in my opinion. Anyway, let's move on. My girl JP, the aspiring matriarch. Thanks for letting me share my thoughts on a great topic. Look forward to doing it again. Be sure to stop by my page. JP, you didn't put your page here. Doggone it. You didn't put your page. Maybe it's JP, the aspiring matriarch. Okay, so you guys go down to JP, the aspiring matriarch. I'm doing it like the lead attorney did, man. The lead attorney, flipped me on a bunch of different people, man. So I'm do everybody like he did me. Go out there and if we all get together and we all promote each other, hey, all of our pages will blow up. So we'll do that. Now, I have put out here, if you guys want to see more content, if you guys want to see more of these topics and discussions, I think I'm going to have another one this Sunday morning, Pacific time at about maybe 11:30 Pacific time. So I'm going to see if we're going to be able to do that. If but that's when our next live is probably going to be. But if you guys enjoyed the live, I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys coming by. I appreciate you sitting there. And next time, if you guys had all good comments, next time you guys push the button, come on in and talk about it. I mean, I don't think I beat up on anybody. I think I was pretty, sensible with everyone. I think I treated everybody as nicely as, as could. And, I'm always a nice guy, but I mean, I treated everybody with respect. So I'm not going to bite you. We just going to talk, If we hit a hot topic, we hit a hot topic, but I'm just, we just going to talk. So next time you guys hit that button, and if anybody has anything else to say, I'm gonna give you about 10 seconds to punch in something. If you don't, then we're gonna cut this thing. And I'm like I said, I thank you guys all. Go down to JP, the Aspiring Matriarch's page. Go down to Finish the Race VL. Go to her page, and come to my page and subscribe. Don't just watch the videos, please. I'm asking you to subscribe because that helps me be able to get other people on. So anybody have anything else to say? Drop it down. I appreciate y'all. And I'll be doing my regular on Sunday, we'll be doing our regular broadcast where we do the Black History Minute and we do the Job of the Week and all of that. We'll be doing that on Sunday. All right. Till then, man, take care of yourself. Thank you guys for coming out. I want to thank my girl, Finish the Race VL, Liz. I want to thank her, and I want to thank my girl JP, the aspiring matriarch. She came online, she hung in there. I appreciate both of them, and y'all go to their pages. All right. Until then, take care of yourself and never be the aggressor. Peace, y'all.